going to give it another minute to make sure our live stream is working, and then we'll get started with the meeting. All right, and looks like our live stream is working. So welcome everyone. My name is Mel Barnes. I'm Chief Legal Counsel to Governor Tony Evers and the chair of his Pardon Advisory Board. I'm going to go ahead and introduce the other board members with us in the Zoom today, and we'll go through a couple of housekeeping items and then turn to hearing from all of you. So our board members today include Anthony Cooper, who is the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships and Reentry Services for Nehemiah Center for Urban Leadership Development. He received a pardon from Governor Evers in January of 2021. We have board member Reverend Jerry Hancock, who is the Director of the Prison Ministry Project. He previously served as a public defender, a deputy district attorney, and as an administrator for the Department of Justice's Division of Law Enforcement Services. We also have board member Cindy O'Donnell, who served as the Deputy Secretary for the Department of Corrections under Governors Thompson, McCallum, and Doyle. She also served as a Division Administrator under Attorneys General Lautenschlager and Van Hollen. We have board member Myrna Warrington, who is the Director of Vocational Rehabilitation on the Menominee Indian Reservation. She is a U.S. Army veteran and has been a member of the Menominee Tribal Legislature for over 15 years. And we have board member Noble Ray, who served with the Madison Police Department for nearly 28 years, including as Chief of Police from 2004 to 2013. He led the U.S. Justice Department's Policing Practices and Accountability Initiative and currently provides racial bias training for law enforcement agencies around the nation and the world. Those are your board members today. We're excited to hear from all of you. But before we do that, just a couple of notes about how today's hearing will go and how we can keep it running smoothly. So housekeeping items. Please keep in mind that today's hearing is being live streamed via Wisconsin Eye and YouTube. We'll ask you to mute yourselves and turn off your camera until it is your turn to be heard by the board so that we have good audio quality and the board can focus on the person who is presenting. If you do run into any IT issues with the Zoom, don't worry about it. Someone from my team will give you a call, we'll reach out to you and make sure we get it all fixed. We'll call people up in the order listed on the agenda and open meetings notice, but if we do need to come back to someone due to IT issues, don't worry about that, we can do that. Each of you will have 5 minutes to share your story with the board. We'll ask you to spend about the first 3 minutes of that answering those questions that we sent to you in advance. So as a reminder, that's sharing with us a brief summary of your offense and how your sentence went. We're not here to retry the crime. You don't need to minimize your involvement or anything like that. We really just want to hear from you in your own words what happened. Second, a brief summary of what you've done since the completion of your sentence, including any community involvement in employment. Basically where you are now and how your life is different from the time at which you committed the offense. And finally, a brief statement about why you're seeking a pardon and why you think the governor should grant you one. So we'll ask you to spend the first 3 minutes speaking to those things. I know some of you have probably prepared something written in advance. And then we'll use the last 2 minutes of your time asking any questions that the board might have for you in addition to those. So sometimes the board has questions, sometimes they don't. We do review all of your application materials very thoroughly, so sometimes everything is covered there. But if there are questions and topics that people want to dive in on, it's really important that we get those answered so that everyone can make a thorough recommendation to the governor. Once the board is done asking you any questions, you're welcome to sign off and leave the Zoom hearing. You do not need to hang out all day. And then once everyone is heard, the board will meet in closed session to decide whether or not to recommend your application to the governor. You need a majority support of board members present in order for your application to be forwarded to the governor. And then of course the governor will make the decision about whether to grant your pardon or reject your application. Either way, you'll hear about the outcome of today's hearing in about a month to a month and a half. You know that you've all been patient just to get to this hearing, but we'll ask you to bear with us just a little bit longer so that we can make those recommendations to the governor. So with that, we will go ahead and get started with our first morning group of applicants, starting with Mr. Dennis Lewis. Mr. Lewis, if you are ready, we can turn it over to you.
I'm ready.
Excellent. We can hear you. We can't see you yet. Are you able to turn on your
Okay.
camera?
Okay, hold on. How do you do that?
We'll get somebody to send you a prompt so that you can hopefully get a button that pops up to click on.
I had a button, but it disappeared on my phone. Hold on once. Now can you see it?
Yes, perfect.
Okay.
All right, we'll go ahead and turn it over to you again, just about 3 minutes on those questions that you were sent in advance, and then we'll see if there are any other questions for you.
Okay, it's been so long ago since I had these offenses. I don't even remember exactly. I know I had a burglary, which I broke into a beer distributor, which is all stupid stuff when I was a kid. That was over 40 some years ago. And then I ended up going to prison because I left the state. And that was a stupid thing too. And then towards the end of my thing, I got sent to a farm and I escaped from there, which was another stupid thing. But I've been out of prison since 1980, and I've learned my lesson the first time for one thing. And ever since then, I've had a job and just kept working and working and working. And for the last 10 years, I joined a church, and now with joining the church, lately we've been going into the homeless shelters and serving food to them. And I don't know, I just learned my lesson. I don't want to ever get in any kind of trouble ever again. I quit drinking 10 years ago. I quit smoking 10 years ago. Just I'm happy for all that. That's about all I have to say about it. That's all I can say. It's been a long time.
Thank you, Mr. List. If you could just give us a sentence or two on why you're seeking a pardon and why the governor should grant you one, and we'll see if there are other questions.
I'm seeking a pardon because, well, it's like I said, first of all, it's been a real long time since I've got in any kind of trouble. And I would like to go hunting with my grandson. I got 8 grandkids now. I got 2 grandsons, but one's really interested in hunting and it keeps asking me, Grandpa, can you go hunting? I says, no, I can't right now, but I would love to start doing that. Even I'm almost 70 years old, but I'd like to at least go once or twice before I die.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Let's see if the board has any other questions for you.
Okay.
Reverend Hancock?
Mr. Lewis, your original offenses were long, long ago and far, far away, but our records showed that in 2004, you had an arrest for possession of cocaine.
Oh, yeah, that was another stupid thing. I was out. That was before I quit drinking. I was out partying with somebody, and they handed that to me, and I never did it. I just put it in my pocket, and I ended up getting caught. I ended up. I was actually going over the speed limit, and that's how I got pulled over. And yeah.
Well, what happened?
That was a stupid thing too. I should have never. What's that? Excuse me.
Well, what happened to you as a result of that? Did you? It says your probation was revoked.
I wasn't on probation at that time.
Okay. Well, did anything? Did you go to jail? Did anything happen to you as a result of that?
No, I did not. I did not. What I did was I ended up going. What they did was send me to a rehab program, which is Libertas, and they yanked my driver's license for, I think it was 90 days, something like that, and then until I completed that Libertas thing. No, I never had no jail sentence for it at all. Okay. They just sent me to a drug rehabilitation thing, and I completed that, and I got my license back, and that was it.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions from the board? No? All right. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Mr. Lewis, and hope that you enjoy the rest of your day.
Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day too. And Merry Christmas to you.
Likewise. All right, our next applicant this morning is Cory Wright. Mr. Wright, if you can turn your camera on, we're ready to hear from you.
Can you see me?
Yes, perfect.
All right, so audio is good?
Yes.
Okay, good morning. My name is Cory Wright. In 2009, I was convicted of cocaine possession and possession with intent to manufacture and deliver cocaine. Also bail jumping, I believe. My sentence was 4 years. Since the completion of my sentence, I've maintained employment. I haven't gotten in any other trouble. My involvement in the community is during my incarceration, right during the tail end of it. I was introduced to this program called Project Return. Project Return is a nonprofit organization that helps men and women coming out of incarceration find jobs, employment, whatever he or she may need, whether it's counseling, AODA, inpatient or outpatient, help with resumes, clothing, things of that nature. I've been involved with them still to this day. I go in and, I talk to some people about, just different sorts of things during my experiences from my incarceration all the way up until this point. I also maintain employment. I am employed right now. I also started a business, which is another handful all in itself. I believe that I deserve a pardon, one, because second chances are always important. Hindsight is 20/20. So as of right now, I never really understood the what word am I looking for? By me being that young, I never understood what a felony really entailed. I didn't know it was, for one, I just thought, well, maybe my Second Amendment rights were just going to be revoked. But I never knew, that it would comprehend me, one, finding employment, two, where I could stay, loans of that nature, all various sorts of different things that I didn't know. So with that being said, by me not being in any trouble since then, and just the regular learning of the lesson, and just a second chance. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Questions from the board? Cindy.
Good morning, Mr. Wright. I have two questions. One, where are you currently employed? What do you do?
I work at Amazon.
Okay, what do you do there?
I do food distribution.
Okay, and how long have you worked for them?
On and off for the past 3 years. The one that I'm currently in right now is on Mitchell Street on the south side of Milwaukee, and the other one was also on the south side, which probably was a little further in Oak Creek. And the only reason why it's been on and off, because I have a visual impairment. I was born with the eye stigmatism called anuridia, and I had multiple eye surgeries since then. Starting from, I will want to say, well, it started when I was 33. I started losing my sight, but working with Amazon and on and off of the employment, I started having surgeries roughly 2 years ago.
Okay, has it helped?
Well, I have two. One worked and the other one didn't go so well. So, my surgeon says, well, hopefully some way, by me having glaucoma and my pressure has been so high, the optic nerve in my left eye was damaged. So I don't really have the greatest vision in my left eye, but so far so good for the right.
Okay, well, that's good. My second question, Mr. Wright, as part of the application process, it's not required, but applicants are encouraged to submit letters of support for their pardon, and you didn't submit any letters of support. Can you tell us why not?
You know what? I really thought that I did have one letter of recommendation from one of the guys from Project Return. I believe his name was Brian. If you didn't receive that letter, if that letter wasn't a part of the application, I don't know how it maybe it was lost or maybe we didn't put it in the packet. But I believe that that letter should have been in there.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Wright? Noble?
Yeah, Mr. Wright, good morning.
Good morning.
Could you talk a bit about the business that you would like to start?
Well, I've started it already. It's called CW Investments, and what it was is it was a business that I thought about doing when I was in Indiana, and I thought that I would be able to bring it here, but not knowing that the housing is a little different. Wisconsin is a tax deed state, and Indiana is a tax lien state, if that makes sense. So as far as me being able to purchase one's property taxes with a 10% lien for the first 6 months and a 15% interest for the first after the 12 months, that's not the case here. So I had to pivot, and that's been a little hectic, considering that there's a whole slew of things that I had to do prior to me obtaining a property, such as a landlord certificate, doing a lot of more due diligence as far as other property values or other liens, or whether it's construction liens or various different other things that I didn't really anticipate as far as what I was going to do in Indiana.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? All right, thank you very much, Mr. Wright. I appreciate your time this morning and hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, our next applicant this morning is Michael Cornelius. Mr. Cornelius.
Can you hear me?
It says that the co-host has asked you to start your video. Let's see.
We can hear you.
Okay.
Right.
Try hitting that button for the video.
There you go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is
Cornelius, we'll turn it over to you.
okay, my name is Michael Cornelius. November 15, 1998, I was charged with possession with intent to control substance. I was sentenced to 4 years, 4 months in Wisconsin State Prison. I was released early for completing AODA. No revocation during that time. I worked whatever job after prison that I would give me a chance to work because of my felony. I couldn't go back to school or get a degree in the things I wanted to. I learned how to do roofing, drywall, rebuild chimneys, CNC machine work, and I'm also a small business owner. I own a Lotte cart. I sell the Mexican street corn. I purchased that. And we're looking to get a small business loan to open a brick and mortar in the future. I also went back to school in 2015, truck driving school in 2015, and I'm currently a truck driver, and I'm working for UPS. The reason for the pardon would be to further my education. And then if we get a brick and mortar, I know to have a liquor license, I would not able to have a felon to do that. It would be important to move forward my life. And we talked about maybe moving one day. And if we do, I don't want the job history to do it. Even though I love truck driving, it's bad on my knees and my back after so long. So I would like to go back to school and maybe in the nursing field. I was already always had a passion for. So that would help me go back to school and further my education, and especially get a federal grant or loan. I mean, a federal grant for school, which would help me keep the pay level with inflation going up, so I wouldn't have to take a less paying job if we ever decide to move out of Wisconsin, which we did talk about. And I'm a grandfather. Spend a lot of time with my grandkids and my fiance. I give back to the homeless with the food cart. I learned how to cut hair, and I also give haircuts back to kids during school.
Excellent. Thank you, Mr. Cornelius. Let's see if board members have questions for you. Board members? Reverend Hancock.
Mr. Cornelius, we get a lot of applications, and I just want to compliment you on your application and the metaphor of bees in a jar and how you feel like you have more to offer than keeping bees in a jar. That was really a wonderful way of talking about how you see your future. So congratulations
Thank you very much.
on surprising me with a really interesting metaphor.
Yeah, I agree.
Other questions for Mr. Cornelius? Mr. Cornelius, I just had one for you. I wanted to ask about, you had a federal charge in 2006 that I think was eventually dismissed. Could you tell us just a little bit about what happened there?
That was a case where I had nothing to do with, and eventually it was dismissed because of those reasons under them circumstances. I had no involvement in that case whatsoever.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the board? All right, thank you very much, Mr. Cornelius. Appreciate your time with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, our next applicant this morning is Wilshon Freeman. Freeman, are you with us in the Zoom? Okay, I don't think I saw Mr. Freeman, so we can come back to him if he's able to join us. In the meantime, we'll move on to Stacey Haynes, who I know I saw.
Good morning, this is Stacey Haynes. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Haynes, we can't see you quite yet, but we're able to hear you.
Okay. Okay, I can get this video to work. Yeah, I'm having the hardest part time getting this video to work.
Yeah, it does kind of look like it is turned on. Is your camera covered by chance?
No.
Okay.
It's covered. No, it's not. Yeah, the video isn't working.
Okay, well, we can proceed with audio only if that's okay with you.
Okay. Well, good morning, all. Thanks for having me. I was convicted in 1995 for possession with intent to deliver. Part of that conviction, I was sent to prison for 7 years, 9 months. Out of that 7 years, 9 months, I spent 7 in there. During that incarceration, I completed my HSED, got a few degree. I completed a few courses, for instance, like woodworking, the cleaning business, and so forth. 2002, I was released, and shortly after, I returned back to prison for the same offense. So I know all gonna say, at what point do you decide that, when is enough? And after that, that's when it was enough. So long story short, my return back to society, I ended up going to school for business management, completed that also while starting my own business in landscaping and lawn care, which I continue right now today, almost 20-something years ago, as well as starting multiple other businesses, like the food truck, like a food truck business, some real estate I tried to touch on, but I was rejected for that due to my felony. And now I also own a trucking business on top of this. And let's see. I've also earned, I purchased my own home, invested in properties. I also have 5 children, become a proud grandfather of 5, and created a loving, stable home with my wife. Beyond my family, I've given back to the community, including the food truck I just named. Despite all these accomplishments, my record continued to limit me. It prevented me from obtaining a real estate license after passing the state exam, cutting off many opportunities to expand my professional portfolio. Additionally, my record restricts me from the trucking business because it doesn't grant me access to the military bases, federal facilities, nor Canada, which limited my ability to secure lucrative contracts and grow my operations. A pardon for me will remove these barriers, allow me to fully pursue my opportunities in real estate and trucking and expand my business and contribute even more to my community by giving others jobs. That has been unfortunate as myself in the past. It would also provide me with a fresh start. It would not only provide me with a fresh start, but it also serve as an example for my family and others that redemption and success are possible. So that's pretty much about it.
Thank you, Mr. Haynes.
Mhm.
Questions from the board? Cindy.
Good morning, Mr. Haynes. Two questions. Following your conviction in 2003, when you were 27 and you were reconfined, you said, today you said, well, that was the end of it. That was when I decided enough is enough. But you have an extensive number of misdemeanors following that. Batteries, disorderly conducts, use of a dangerous weapon. What can you talk about those and what's still going on? I mean, those go right through till 2015.
Okay, yeah, with the batteries, that stemmed from a lot of domestic violence with my wife, which was then my which was my girlfriend, kid's mother. Yeah, I really don't know too much to say about that, but we have moved way past that. That don't even exist anymore as far as like in my household. As I said, we didn't got married and been married for what, 13 years now. As far as the batteries leading up to 2015, that was an altercation with my one of my relatives, and that was shortly dismissed as well.
Have you had any treatment or counseling for these issues?
I had an array of treatment. I've been to AODA counseling, anger management, even some self-help groups, and yes, I have completed that.
Okay. My last question is, and you may have heard me ask a previous applicant this, but as part of the process, applicants are encouraged to submit letters of support for their pardon, and you did not submit any letters. Can you tell us why not?
Well, I could tell you a few reasons. One of the reasons is that was overlooked. And I still can, I could request a lot of people to show up, but I thought, as you speak on this, I thought that my track record will speak for me as to what I've been doing for the last 12 or 13 years, like with all the accomplishments I've made with the business management program, the businesses I've been running and still continue to run, the real estate and everything. I thought that'll probably be sufficient. But if you need me to need that support, I could definitely gather it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Noble.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
As you indicated, you've taken some steps regarding managing your anger. You took a anger management and domestic violence intervention. Since you've taken that type of counseling and support, what has changed? What has changed in your life after taking those?
I think I've matured a lot, and a lot of stuff don't upset me like it used to. And even if it did, I really don't have time to focus on the negative part of things. I don't react as fast as I used to, and if I do react, that negative is turned into a positive.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Reverend Hancock?
Can we talk a little more about the 2015 disorderly conduct, dangerous use of a weapon? What happened? What was that all about?
Okay, that's going back to the food truck business. I had my uncle working with me, and we had a little altercation regarding that matter. One thing led to another, and we got into like a little fist fight, and When the police showed up, he reported to them that I had a firearm. They searched my vehicle, found nothing, and that's pretty much about the size of that. That's what happened.
Okay, where was the food truck when this happened?
The food truck was on the north side of Madison, Wisconsin. Wasn't even there. I just happened to be on that side of town where he resided. Well, pretty much in the vicinity of where he resided, and that's where the altercation took place at.
Yeah, and you're saying you did not have a gun.
No, sir, I did not have a gun.
So why were you convicted of having a gun?
Because they broke it down to a misdemeanor, and I knew I had to get back to business. And at that time, I was thinking, you know what? Let's just go ahead and get this out the way, get me back out here so I can do what I need to do to continue my progress. So, like I said, it was broken down to, I think it was broken down to a misdemeanor. So I took that, having run-ins with the law, I know how that could escalate. And I could have got easy 10 to 15 years just off of that account by itself. So I thought the courts was doing me a big favor, and I took it and ran.
Okay, one last question. Did you once use Jimi Hendrix as an alias, and how did that work out for you?
They didn't work out too good. That was in 1994 when I had caught the possession with intent to distribute. I used that name, and it didn't work out with. It didn't work out right at all.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Other questions for Mr. Haynes? No? Art? Oh, Anthony? Yeah.
Yep. I think my only question is just the fact that if you can just talk a little bit more about, I know you've been in business for a while. I've actually seen your trucks around Madison quite a bit. Just if you could just talk a little bit more about who you are, I think that would be helpful for us all to know who you are now, and then also just the way how you navigate the community. If you can just kind of expand on that a little bit more.
Good question. So yeah, I'm somebody that once ran the streets of Madison, Chicago. Had the mentality I could do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. What has changed since then is, as I stated before, is my maturity. I've grown since then, and I'm trying to advance. You know, not just advance for myself, but show others that this is possible. It can happen. You know, just because of your past, don't let that be your future. Don't let that determine who you are today. Like I said, I'm looking to grow, continue growing. And I'm just a different person. I'm a changed person. Like I spoke with Mr. Hancock, I told him, don't much set me off like it used to. The littlest thing can get up under my skin, and I don't let the small things affect me no more. Not just that, I'm too busy trying to accomplish things and don't have the time for the negativity. And I surround myself around a different group, and that's pretty much about the size of it. I don't have the negative people around me.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Haynes. Appreciate your time with the board this morning and hope that you enjoy your weekend.
You too. Thank you. Y'all have a good weekend.
Thank you. Mr. Kippley is next. James Kippley, you're with us in the Zoom. We're ready to turn it over to you.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, good deal. You know, I don't even remember, that was so long ago, the exact year this happened, but that was when I first left my wife. And I moved to Portage, moved in with a roommate, and I didn't drink before that for many years. I was a Baptist, and I started drinking then, and that was the bigger problem of things. But I drank too much, and when you first drink, you get really kind of screwed up. And I drank hard alcohol, and for 3 weeks in a row, my roommate kept wanting me to sell marijuana to his friends from high school, and I said, for 3 weeks in a row, I said no. Well, the fourth week, I was drunker than a skunk in the bar, and I said yes, a one-time deal only. I don't sell marijuana. And so I did it. And I regretted that decision. It ruined my life. It virtually a good part of my life. And they came to my door 2 or 3 days later. And I said, I told you guys, I don't sell marijuana. And so they didn't come back after that. It took them a year to decide to charge me. And then they charged me with a felony. And all, the bigger problem in my life was the alcohol. I had 4 drunk driving. I quit drinking many years ago. I learned my life. But this thing, a felony for selling a half ounce of marijuana, it just ruined my life. And I've led such a good life. I obey the laws. I believe in God. I don't know. And the lawyer I had at the time, his name was Jeffrey Kravats. I paid him $7,000 to help me. I found out when I went for this pardon, when I went to Columbia County to get my record, that he didn't file one motion on my behalf. And he was disbarred like 6 months after my case for whatever reason. I don't know. He got disbarred, but he didn't. And the day of court, he said, for 2,000 more, I can get you off. He didn't do one thing. So I made a serious mistake. I regretted it ever since. And I've never done that again. I've lived my life good. I'm great to my kids, my grandkids. I live with my son currently, but my health conditions. But when I applied for this pardon originally, I wanted to get on the Sauk County Board of Supervisors. I was thinking because of stuff that was going on in my neighborhood with property values and stuff and how they devalued a property. And so I applied for this pardon. That's where it started. And I didn't want that on there. And at this point, you contacted me a year ago, about November, saying that you had reviewed my case and you would notify me in December or January. And then this is the first I've heard of you. And I thought this was going to be a year ago, but then my health turned a year ago, December. I was given 2 weeks to live, and I got stage 4 cancer in multiple organs. Not a big deal. It don't matter. But at this point, I would think a pardon would just be like the state saying they forgive me for being a dumbass back at that time. If I wouldn't have drank, alcohol is a bigger problem. If I wouldn't have been drinking, I never would have done it. I regret it to this day. I've regretted it my whole life, and I don't know what else to say.
Thank you, Mr. Kippley. Appreciate that. I mean, you mentioned that you gave up drinking, and that was the bigger struggle for you. Could you tell us how long you've been sober?
Oh, it's over 15 years for sure. I don't remember when I quit. I had slowed down seriously. Yeah, alcohol that's a bad one there, and especially when you go from not drinking to hard alcohol. And that was an ugly time in my life, and I wish I never would have. I wish I could redo that. You know how many times I've ran that through my mind repeatedly, and how it affected so many aspects of my life. I don't know. It's just, and not hunting with my son all them years and never doing that part of growing up with him, something I really cherished back then, all over just stupidness. I don't know. And then my roommate found out, they even did a full newspaper article back then on him. He was in trouble with the law. So he was setting up his friend to do stuff with these FBI agents to get himself out of trouble. I was not a drug dealer. I never have been in my whole life. I wasn't then. I sold a half ounce of marijuana, and I think I've more than paid the price for it. And at the time I really didn't respect the law because of the way I was treated. And I know I probably shouldn't be saying this today, but I respect the law very much to this day. And I always will. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. It just, in a way, they really played hardball over something that wasn't, in my opinion, all that devastating. They devastated my life. I devastated my life over it. I look at things nowadays in the world nowadays, and this happened back in a different time, I realize. But you look at things nowadays, and boy, I think I'm such a better person than a lot of people. I hate to say that, but I put my faith in God. He will be my judge. But I hope that the people of Wisconsin will forgive me for what I did. I wish I could forgive myself for what I did. It definitely altered my life, maybe for the better in the long run, because I did quit drinking, and I have been really close to my family and have been a good example for everybody. It was a hard time in my life. I was young and stupid and freshly divorced or getting divorced. And I know it's not an excuse, but it happened, and I don't know what else I can do about it. If I could take it back, I would.
Thank you, Mr. Kippley. Appreciate that. And
sun's right in my eye here. Driving me nuts.
Yeah, it's that time of day. And congratulations on your sobriety for so long. That's a lot of years.
Oh yeah.
Other questions from the board? Cindy.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Kippley. Thanks for sharing your story. We sure appreciate this. Isn't the easiest forum to do that in, so we appreciate your sharing it today. But I do have one question. You may have heard me ask a previous applicant.
Yeah.
You didn't submit any letters of support. Can you tell us why not?
I don't even remember that part of the pardon application. I'm sorry. I just don't even remember that part.
Okay.
You can talk to my daughter-in-law. She's here.
That's okay. I think
I'm a pretty good guy.
I think you've covered yourself well today. So thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Kippley? All right. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Mr. Kippley.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good holiday.
You as well.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Our next applicant this morning is Brandon Madden. Mr. Madden, I know I saw you in Zoom.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Is my video working? There we go. So I received my felony for eluding and evading. I went on a drinking binge, left the local tavern, hit a parked car on my street, and there was an officer that witnessed the entire thing. I drove away from the scene of the accident, and when he turned his lights on, I was a few blocks from my house. So I made the decision to just continue and pull into my driveway rather than pulling over right away, which was a bad idea. I was charged with felony eluding and evading, DUI, and leaving the scene of the accident. I was sentenced to 6 months in jail and fines and restitution. Before my court date, my parents talked me into joining a rehab program. So I went through outpatient rehab at Bellin, and then I also did AODA and the AA requirements that went along with that. Since then, my family, my career, most important things in my life, I've really excelled at my career. I'm a lead mechanical engineer for a company called Thermotronics. The company is a larger company, but it's family owned and very family orientated. We are in every fundraiser or charity that we can come up with. It's constant, and it's just a good family environment, and I really enjoy my career right now. And that's the main reason for this pardon request is, I have to travel a lot for my job, and we do a lot of work in Mexico, Canada, United States, and it's hard to get into Canada with a felony, as everybody knows. Also, just for the background check purposes, I mean, like I said, I love my job. I want to retire there, but if something were to happen, stuff happens. If I had to, apply to another job at this high level that I'm at, it's really hard to get through background checks. I guess that's really all I've got.
Thank you, Mr. Madden. Questions from the board? Cindy.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Madden.
Good morning.
You mentioned after this incident you got some treatment, but you also had a OWI in 2021.
That's correct.
Do you currently use alcohol?
No, ma'am. That was a stumble. As I learned it throughout my rehab, and I went through AODA again after that one. It's a constant work in progress, and I admit I slip and stumble. Right now, I'm at the best spot I've been in my life as far as using alcohol. So, like I said, it's a daily struggle, but I'm doing pretty well.
And are you involved in any programs or treatment or AA or anything?
Since I completed my AODA, I haven't been going to AA anymore. I just haven't felt the need to.
Thank you.
Mr. Rand, I wanted to follow up on that a little bit. When you told us the story about what happened today when you put in your application, you mentioned that you were leaving the tavern and driving home drunk. You weren't convicted of an OWI at that point. The 2021 charge that you were convicted of was convicted as a first OWI. Do you know why you weren't charged with an OWI for this event?
To be honest with you, I'm not really sure how that all worked out. I thought I was charged with the OWI for the first one. I don't know if maybe they did some kind of settlement and gave me the felony eluding and dropped the OWI or something like that. I'm really not sure how that worked out.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from the board? No, all right, I think that covers it then. Thank you very much, Mr. Madden. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Our next applicant this morning is Kaelani Knutson. Ms. Knutson, I know I saw you.
Hello.
Here we are. Good morning.
Good morning. So first and foremost, I do want to thank you guys for doing this Zoom. I live in North Carolina and I have a lot going on with my life. So this is, really convenient. I really appreciate the opportunity. So I did commit an armed robbery with the threat of force, party to the crime. The offense was committed May 14, 2001. I was 18 years old. The co-defendants and myself robbed a marijuana dealer. I pled guilty October 23rd, 2004. I was sentenced to 6 straight months in Dade County Jail and 2 years probation, which I completed. So after this is a summary of my life. I haven't committed any crimes before after the incident. I attended and graduated from Hubert H. Humphrey Job Corps in St. Paul, Minnesota, where I earned certificates in Transportation Communications Union. I worked at the same company for 12 years in Wisconsin. My resume will show 4 different jobs, but I ended up staying with the company throughout a couple name changes and then throughout the sale of the company a couple of times. I became a homeowner of a primary residence in Wisconsin and an owner of a rental property. I met the love of my life and got married. I have 7 children, 5 girls and 2 boys. I'm a basketball, football, gymnastics, and cheerleader mom. I'm a member of the PTA at my children's school. I obtained my real estate license in Wisconsin. I moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, where I obtained my North Carolina real estate license. I obtained my my South Carolina real estate license last year, and I currently am licensed and do business in both states. I've bought a property, renovated, and flipped it. Right now, I work part-time as well as a train attendant for Amtrak. I attend church weekly. I have held numerous food drives throughout the years in my community, and I have donated thousands of pounds of food to Second Harvest Food Bank. Some things that having a felony has held me back from: opening a used car dealership, which is a dream of my husband's. I would like to help with becoming a notary, being a chaperone for my children's field trips, and in some cases, the ability to lease a rental unit to live in. Excuse me. So why I think I deserve the pardon. So first and foremost, I believe I deserve a pardon because I have cut all ties with anyone involved in any criminal activity, and I have lived a lawful and productive life. I have surrounded myself with positive people who are like-minded. I have submitted my life to God. I have complete and total faith that He will work out everything for my good. I no longer want to be known as Kaelani Knutson, a felon. I would like more than anything to be known for exactly who I am: a courageous, passionate, tenacious, honest, generous, kind, just, and responsible mother, wife, and business owner. I accept total, complete, and absolute responsibility for my actions, but I also accept total, complete, and absolute responsibilities for where my life is now. I have grown into a woman who fulfills her commitments, pays her bills, raises her children, loves her families, follows her conscience, does her jobs, obeys the law, and I want more than anything to give back in any way that I can. A pardon would bring full circle my hard work and meaning for who and why I am. I believe I deserve an opportunity to continue to pay my debt to society without being held back. And with this pardon, I can continue becoming the person that I would like to be. Just Kaelani Knutson.
Thank you, Ms. Knutson. Questions from the board? Cindy.
Yeah, good morning, Ms. Knutson. Thanks for sharing your story this morning. You've heard me ask previous applicants the same question, but you did not submit any letters of support with your application. Can you tell us why not?
You know, honestly, when you asked that question, I was thinking like, oh my God, did I do that? I must have absolutely looked that over. But I will say, although my life is a testimony, I reluctantly share my story with people. I can't name anyone outside of my family that even knows that I have, you know, a criminal history. So I would have to humble myself in order to present that to, you know, people outside of my family, even to get some type of letter of recommendation, which I know people would do for me. But you know, I'm not at that point yet. And maybe one day I will share my testimony. You know, I've been going back and forth with that, especially since this pardon has come up. You know, I never thought that I had given up on it until I got the email. But yeah, so that's something that I'm working on.
So can you talk a little bit about, I mean, this happened a long time ago, as you pointed out, but it's a very serious crime. And can you talk a little bit about the victim impact of this? Because you haven't really addressed that. I mean, I can't imagine being in a home and having people come in with weapons and pointing them at, you know, the fear or how you address what your crime, the impact of that on the victims.
I don't know that I necessarily addressed with the victim like the impact that it has on them, but I have had extensive therapy in my lifetime. I could imagine the impact because I have a family of my own now. I was, you know, very young, you know, when I participated in that crime, but I do know the severity and I regret my actions. It's not really who I was. Yeah, and there's no excuse, but like I said, you know, me having a family myself, and God forbid something like that happen, I can understand the impact and the severity of the crime.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board? All right. Thank you, Ms. Knutson. Appreciate your time and sharing your story with us this morning, and hopefully you have an excellent weekend.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. All right, I know that we have a few folks left in the Zoom, so I wanted to do another call for Wilshon Freeman. Mr. Freeman, are you with us? No? All right. In that case, we will move on to our last applicant of the morning, which is Jeremy Bray. Mr. Bray, we're ready to hear from you.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
We're great. How are you?
I'm here, so blessed, you know. I don't really know where to start. I mean, I'm Jeremy Bray, and I'm asking for a pardon on the crime that I committed as party to the crime of armed robbery. I believe it was in 1999. Me and two of my associates decided to rob a drug dealer for drugs to make extra money or for whatever the reason may be. The crime, long story short, because I really can't remember all the full details, but long story short, committed the crime, got caught, went to jail, did some time. I think I did 90 days or something like that, and I was also given 3.5 years states, 3.5 years probation with a state sentence of, I believe it was 5 years. I completed my probation, and I don't know. I completed my probation. I did my time. I completed my probation. I did my LDA groups and things of that nature. And everything that had to do with, I don't know. But yeah, okay, so I don't know, we committed the crime, got caught, and guilty of it, you know? There's no denying that. Not trying to say it didn't happen. I know it happened. I take full responsibility for my actions and everything that happened. No matter whether I wanted to, if I wanted to do it, because at the time of the incident, I kind of changed my mind and I didn't want to do it. But one of the people that I was with ran in the people's house anyway while I was there. So I was kind of stuck outside, lost, and not knowing what to do or how to get away from the situation. So we got they came back out the house. We got in the car. It was a high-speed chase. Ended up running, and we all got caught. Okay. I don't know what this. I don't know. I honestly didn't want to do it. Didn't want to be involved in it, but I was there. Okay. So there's no denying that I did not go. I didn't stay home. You know, I pretty much, okay, so I don't know how to explain stuff no more. I don't know, it's hard for me to remember the specifics because I don't know if you guys know, but I had a brain injury, okay? I had a motorcycle accident. So I'm sorry, okay? I apologize. Didn't want it to happen. Wish it wouldn't have never happened. It did, and I regret it ever since, okay? I'm very remorseful. I mean, my heart goes out to that family, you know? It's like, I got a family myself, you know, and I know I hurt the people. I didn't go in the house, but I'm sorry, it just hurts for me to even, it's hard for me to bring up this stuff, okay? So I'm really trying, and I'm gonna try my hardest, okay?
We understand, Mr. Bray, it's hard to talk about, and I know that you shared your brain injury with the board ahead of time. So we understand you might not remember everything. That's totally okay. Could you tell us a little bit about your life now and how things are different? You know, you mentioned your family and wrote about them in your application, and I think we'd appreciate hearing something about your life now.
I spent every day of my life, okay, just trying to give back, to make amends for each and every crime that I have ever committed. Felony, misdemeanor, whatever. I am, I'm a, I'm, I don't know, I was in such a hard place in my life. I went through so much throughout my life, and I was just in a bad place. I wasn't myself. Okay. I am a good person. I'm kind. I got a big heart. I'm generous and loving. Okay. I've, I don't know, since then, all I do, I just worked, work. I went back to, I got my GED. I went back to school. I got my Class B CDL license. I got my motorcycle license. I'm involved in a resident committee. I do pizza with the police. I mentor kids. I got married to my beautiful wife. Like I said, I completed my ALDA. All, it's hard. I completed my ALDA, I can't even think of the name, anger management, all of that stuff. I've done it all. And I don't know, just since that time, I've just devoted my life to just doing good, just taking care of my family, mentoring to the kids in the neighborhood, I, just working hard and just trying to teach and show my kids that how to be good, to grow, just raise my kids. And I've been nothing but a family man. That's what I am. That's who I am. And that's that's what I and that's all I want out of this life, is to be able to be with my family, to do for my kids. And that's just what it's all I do. Is man, I can't do much. So um up until a year ago, I just worked, worked, and worked my butt off. Okay. I worked 14-hour days and came home and still tried to do whatever I could for my family. Okay. Up until a year ago, I had a motorcycle accident, and right now I can't work. Okay? I can't think straight. I can't focus.
Thanks, Mr. Bray. We understand that, and I don't want to make you, go through this anymore, because I think we've gotten a lot of good information, but I do think we have a couple of other questions for you. Noble, I saw your hand.
Yeah, Mr. Bray, good morning. How are you doing this morning? You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I really appreciate you taking the time out this morning and sharing your story. Being a little biased on this, I see where you received a department life-saving citation. Could you talk a little bit about how that happened and what was entailed with doing that?
So one day me and my wife was on our way home. I don't remember exactly where we were coming from. Okay. We were talking, and I looked up, and there was some cones in front of the street, and I had to tell her, like, babe, hold on, we can't go left to go home. We got to go right. And making that right, we had to go past the police department. And as we were approaching by the police department here on the north side of Madison, I noticed something. I said, babe, there's a bus in the police station, like crashed into the police station. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. And there's a bus crashed into the police station. And I said, I don't know what's going on. And she was like, what? And I said, yeah, there's a bus crashed into the police station. So we immediately, I said, we have to go do something. So we immediately turned that way. And my wife, being so like me, she tried to hurry. She wanted to be the one that gets out and go help the people. But I stopped her. I said, no, you can't. I'm not gonna let my wife go and find out what's going on. I stopped her. She was driving. She pulled over. I told her, no, I'll go find out what's going on. So I ran over to the bus, and there was people in the bus window, and I was kind of afraid. I thought that it was maybe like a hostage situation because there was people like blocking the window or whatever, but it didn't matter to me because something was going on and people were in danger. So I approached the bus, and somebody came to the bus door and was like, help, help, we can't get out. And I looked past them and I noticed the bus driver was unconscious on the steering wheel. So if somebody inside of the bus helped me to get the bus door open. We got the bus door open, pushed the door open, and my wife, well, then at the time, she was just my girlfriend. She's my wife now. But she tried to come and I had to go get her. I'm trying to get it correct. I had to go and get her, and but she came over and we we tried to, well, we came over to the bus, got the bus door open. Let me try to get through it. Got the bus door open, got onto the bus, got the man out of the bus seat, got him down on the ground, and she began to administer CPR. As she administered CPR, I ran inside the station to make them aware of the fact that a bus had crashed into the police station, because it was kind of weird to me that they didn't realize it. But I had to go in there and I got them, and they came out. And once the police took over the situation, me and my girlfriend at the time, wife to this day, went on about our business once we realized everybody was safe.
Thank you very much for telling that story and appreciate your actions that day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board for Mr. Bray? No? All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Bray. I know that this wasn't the easiest way for you to tell your story, and I want to assure you that we read through all of your written materials as well, and I feel like we have a really complete picture. So thank you for your time today and for getting through this with us.
Before, I just want you guys to know that this is big for me, okay? It's big for my family, okay? And
absolutely,
I am very appreciative of you guys, okay? It was hard for me, but I know it takes, you guys got to get up and come and deal with this stuff. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate you guys' time and everything. And I just, whatever happens, I just, I pray and I just put like, I'm gonna let go and I'm gonna let God. That's what I'm gonna do. And I'm gonna let you guys do what you got. So I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Bray. We appreciate you too. Hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too, you as well, and happy holidays. Thank you.
Thank you. You too. All right, we are going to do one more call for Wilshon Freeman. Mr. Freeman, are you with us in the Zoom? No. Okay. So we are then going to take a short break in order to stay compliant with our open meetings notice. We won't start our second block until 10 o'clock. So board members, I would ask you to hang out in the Zoom. You can turn off your audio and camera, but please be back at about 9:59 so we can start right away at 10 with our next group of applicants.
Hiya, Coop.
Hey, how's it going there, Jerry?
Hey, what do you know about that murder on the north side?
A lot. That's all I can say right now. Yeah.
Were they people that knew each other?
Just a reminder that we're still streaming on YouTube in Wisconsin Eye.
Nice to see you, Coop. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Eric.
All right, if board members, if everybody can start making your way back on camera, we'll go ahead and get started shortly here. Right. Okay, so if you're just joining us from the waiting room, we'll get started in just a minute here. We just want to make sure we get everybody in and connected to audio. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mel Barnes. I'm Chief Legal Counsel to Governor Evers and the chair of his Pardon Advisory Board. I'm going to introduce my fellow board members and go over just a couple of quick housekeeping notes with you all about how the second half of this morning's hearing will run, and then we'll get started hearing from all of you. So with us in the meeting today, we have board members including Reverend Jerry Hancock. Reverend Hancock is the director of the Prison Ministry Project. He previously served as a public defender and deputy district attorney, and as an administrator at the Department of Justice's Law Enforcement Services. We also have board member Anthony Cooper Sr., who is the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships and Reentry Services at Nehemiah Center for Urban Leadership Development, and he received a pardon from Governor Evers in January of 2021. We have board member Cindy O'Donnell, who served as the Deputy Secretary for the Department of Corrections under Governors Thompson, McCallum, and Doyle, and she served as a Division Administrator under Attorneys General Lautenschlager and Van Hollen. We have board member Myrna Warrington, who is a director of vocational rehabilitation on the Menominee Indian Reservation. She is a U.S. Army vet and has been a member of the Menominee Tribal Legislature for over 15 years. And finally, we have board member Noble Ray, who served with the Madison Police Department for nearly 28 years, including as chief of police from 2004 to 2013. He led the U.S. Justice Department's Policing Practices and Accountability Initiative and currently provides racial bias training for law enforcement around the world. We will go through just a couple of quick housekeeping items before we hear from you all. First is please remember that today's hearing is being live streamed on Wisconsin Eye and YouTube. We'll ask you to mute yourselves and turn off your video until it's your turn to be heard by the board so that we can focus on the person who's presenting and make sure we can hear everyone. If you run into any IT issues, don't worry. Someone from staff will reach out to you and help you troubleshoot. We will call folks up in the order listed on the agenda and open meetings notice. However, if we do need to come back to someone due to IT issues when it's their turn, we will do that. We'll ask you to spend the first 3 minutes of your time with the board speaking to the questions that were sent to you in advance. As a reminder, that's giving us a brief summary of your offense and how your sentence went. We're not here to retry the crime. You don't need to minimize your involvement. We just want to hear from you in your own words what happened. Second, a brief summary of how things have gone since the completion of your sentence, any community involvement, employment, things like that, how your life is different now than at the time of your offense. And finally, a brief statement on why you're seeking a pardon and why you think the governor should grant you one. Once you've spent about 3 minutes on those topics, we'll open it up for another about 2 minutes and see if the board has additional questions for you. Don't read too much into it either way. We do have your application materials. We've reviewed those in a lot of detail and sometimes everything is covered there. but we do want to see if there are any other questions. Excuse me. Excuse me. Once we're done asking you any questions, you're welcome to sign off the Zoom. You do not need to hang out for the rest of the meeting. And once we've heard from everyone, the board will move into closed session and decide whether or not to recommend your application to the governor for a pardon. You need majority support of board members present in order for your application to be forwarded. You'll hear back from the governor's decision in about a month or a month and a half from today's hearing. So we'll ask for just a little bit more patience as we complete the process. With that, we'll go ahead and get started with our second group of applicants this morning, starting with Mr. Jeffrey Montoya. Mr. Montoya, we'll turn it over to you.
Good morning. Thank you. So I am here asking for a pardon from a crime that I committed in February of 2004. I pled guilty to vehicle operating flee eluding officer. I was driving home from a bar. I was intoxicated, and instead of stopping and cooperating with the police as I should have, I freaked out, sped home. It was about a mile from my house at the time, resisted arrest and was combative with the police. I basically did everything wrong that night, from driving drunk to resisting, and I deeply regret my actions of that night. I was sentenced to 60 days in the House of Corrections. I ended up serving about 45 days and was released for good behavior. All of this was really a rock bottom for me, which made me examine almost all aspects of my life. Since moving past that experience, I've been successful in school and work. In 2007, I completed a master's degree. In 2010, I decided to change careers and went into massage therapy, receiving a diploma in therapeutic massage from Madison College. I currently own 2 massage businesses, one in West Dallas, Wisconsin, and the other in Mequon. And I employ 6 massage therapists in my businesses. In 2020, I completed a doctorate degree in health professions education and started a massage school that I opened. It's called the Academy of Health. It's a 501c3 nonprofit school. We offer a unique form of education using blended learning, both online and in person. So far, my school has graduated 65 students, and our school has a particular outreach to make education accessible to underrepresented populations through collaboration with other wellness-oriented nonprofit organizations. In addition to my own businesses and school, I have worked part-time for a nonprofit employment agency that does job placement and job training for individuals with disabilities. I work there about a day to a day and a half a week. I originally got the job to pay for massage school, but I just love it so much. I've stayed here 15 years. I apologize. I lost my notes.
That's okay. Take your time.
So in addition to my work, I love volunteering. I volunteered with my professional association for massage therapy at both the local chapter and the national level, given hundreds of hours of volunteer time, and have even received awards for that. I received a Meritorious Service Award in 2021. And in 2019, I received a National Teacher of the Year Award. I've also been inducted into the Massage Therapy Hall of Fame. I am asking for a pardon because my felony conviction rears its ugly head at different times, often unexpected. For instance, I've been denied insurance coverage, particularly professional liability coverage. One recent case, I had applied for a policy that would cost about $300 a year. for part of my practice and was denied that coverage, had to go with another company that was almost $2,000 for the year. So it was really costly. I've been denied loans from the Small Business Association because of my conviction. And that not only hurts me, but hurts the people that I employ. I'm very concerned. I got married in this past October, and my husband and I are interested in maybe having a secondary residence someplace a little warmer. And I'm very concerned about employment and occupational licensing in other states that have different requirements where a felony conviction may bar my employment or may make it more difficult. We also love to travel, especially internationally, and that my felony conviction, once again, makes that a little bit more difficult, or at least has risks that I would be denied entry into other countries. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Thank you to Governor Evers and for this board for hearing my application. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Montoya. Any questions from the board? Jerry.
Dr. Montoya, the judge in Milwaukee County who reviewed your pardon application supports your application for a pardon. How does that make you feel?
That makes me really feel good. It's like a redemptive moment, especially because the judge was harsh on me. My attorney and the district attorney had agreed that my conviction would, or my punishment would be probation, and he rejected their recommendation in order to do House of Corrections. And so at the time, I felt that that was really a harsh punishment. That punishment actually helped me with self-reflection and figuring out where my life was going. So his support means a lot to me because at the time of the conviction, I really saw him as being harsh. And so I appreciate knowing that.
Just to be clear, it wasn't this, it's not the same judge. A judge, I think your judge is retired. Another judge in Milwaukee County reviewed the application. Of course, Governor Evers will make the final decision, but the court in Milwaukee County supports your application. I have one other question. Can you talk about how your conviction and a pardon would affect your relationship with your, I assume, ancestral Pueblo in New Mexico?
Yeah, so I am Native American from a Pueblo in New Mexico, and at the time of my application was really my moving back, at least temporarily. My parents were both in very bad health conditions. They're since doing better, and I was troubled to find out that being a convicted felon would limit some of my rights as a tribal member. It could affect the tribe granting me land on the reservation. It could disqualify me from employment with the tribe. And that was really disheartening because having accomplished a doctorate degree and not a lot of Native Americans achieve that level of education, I would really like to be able to give back if given that opportunity. And so the felony conviction, again, it's a place where it rears its ugly head.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Montoya. I appreciate your time this morning, and I hope you have an enjoyable weekend.
Thank you all so much. You too.
Thank you. Next up, we have Wayne Clatt. Mr. Clatt, we're ready to hear from you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
On February 14, 2005, I was sentenced to possession of marijuana with a second offense modifier. I was given 30 days in jail and 1 year probation. No problems arose during the probation. Since my sentence, I worked various factory jobs, normally becoming a supervisor, and most of those are moving up pretty high in the company. And in 2021, I was injured at work. I then looked into becoming a peer support specialist. And I did this for around a couple of years to help people through recovery and mental illness. And I really enjoyed it, except for all of the traveling. And also at that time, I took training to run Celebrate Recovery. And me and my wife ran Celebrate Recovery at a local church here for about a year and a half. And we have since given that over to somebody else that is has more time to actually run that. And currently I work at a behavioral group home in Thorpe, Wisconsin, helping mentally disabled young adults. And I'm asking for the pardon to show others that there is hope after a conviction when you change your lifestyle. And I'd also like to look into becoming a pastor. And the felony is kind of a hindrance with the Assembly of God church on becoming a pastor. And I also think that the felony, like the house that me and my wife had bought after we had a fire at the place that we were renting, the felony was also a hindrance on buying the property and the house that we have due to the fact we live in a mobile home court. And they didn't want somebody with a felony living here, and I had to fight my way and prove my way and what I've done since then in order to actually buy this property.
Thank you, Mr. Clatt. Some questions from the board. I've got one for you to get us started. It looks like you have an unemployment compensation overpayment warrant from 2022 in a pretty significant amount. Could you tell us, have you paid that back, or are you on a payment plan?
I am on a payment plan with them, and I pay on I get paid every 2 weeks, and I pay that every 2 weeks. I'm currently trying to get that paid down.
Can you share about how much of it you've paid back at this point?
I am not really sure because they really don't give me much record on that, unfortunately.
Okay.
I know I pay about $50, so it's $100 a month that I pay towards that.
Okay, thank you. Other questions from the board? No. All right. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Mr. Clatt. Appreciate it, and hope you have an excellent weekend.
Hey, thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Next up, we have Tori Polium. Mr. Polium, are you with us in the Zoom? No. Okay. We will come back to Mr. Polium. In the meantime, Glenn Fish is next. Mr. Fish. Mr. Fish, I see you in the Zoom. Can you turn your camera on for us if you're able?
I'm trying to figure it out right now.
Great. There we go.
Is it on?
We can see you.
Okay. My name is Glenn Fish. I was convicted of felony forgery and felony uttering in 2001. Actually 2001, 2002. I'm not sure what conviction was. It's a little over 20 years ago. I had taken a checkbook from my father and used one of his stampers to write out some checks, and thought I needed the money for a PlayStation, or it was a gaming system of some sort. And once I found out that, I'm sorry, it's nervous.
Okay, take your time.
I don't know why I need the money for the PlayStation. I didn't need it. So there's no excuse for it. I can't make any rationalization for it. At the time, I didn't realize how bad my decision was and how much it would affect my future. I was put on probation for 4 years. Served that, I believe I was extended once for 1.5 years. So I can get my court obligations fulfilled, the payment. Since then, I got married, moved to Tennessee, moved back. While down in Tennessee, I went to college down there for machining. I got a certificate in machining. Came back to Wisconsin in 2015. My mother was in a nursing home, and I wanted to get her out. She had fallen and broken her leg. Couldn't get out until someone was at the house. I have volunteered for a couple organizations, the Boys and Girls Club was the United States, and local food pantries. I currently work at Aaron's company for the past 8 years. I started out as a machine operator and have moved up to industrial manufacturing technician. They actually saw potential in me and sent me to an apprenticeship for the IMT tech position. And I am now I have a journeyman's card for that. I'm hopeful to get the pardon so I could take my girls hunting. Just one thing that they want to do with me is go out in the woods and hunt. We're big outdoors people. I would like to travel. There's a lot of places that I want to go that have restrictions on not being able to enter with a visa. And it's a lot harder to get a decent job and a loan for a house. So I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Fish. I think that covers our first 3 questions. I want to see if the board has anything else for you. Cindy.
Good morning, Mr. Fish.
Good morning.
As part of the application process, applicants are encouraged to submit letters of support for their application, and you did not submit any letters. Can you tell us why not?
At the time, still ashamed of what I have done. Well, I still am ashamed of it. And I don't really have a lot of support or a support system here in Wisconsin, besides my parents and 1 or 2 friends. And I think my dad might have sent a letter in. He said he was going to.
Well, he was the victim of the crime, so that's a different response than a letter of support for your application, but he does support your application, but that is a different category for us. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Fish? No? All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Fish. I appreciate your time this morning and hope you enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
You as well. And I believe we have Mr. Polium in the Zoom now. So Mr. Polium, we're ready to turn it over to you. We're gonna ask you to spend about 3 minutes answering the questions sent to you in advance. So starting with a brief summary of your crime and how your sentence went, Second, telling us about your life since your completion of your sentence, so employment, community involvement, things like that. And then finally, a brief statement about why you're seeking a pardon and why you think the governor should grant you one. And once you've spent about 3 minutes speaking to those, we'll see if the board has any additional questions for you and take those one at a time.
Well, I'm not just sure. My conviction was, I think it was a fraud, forgery of uttering, something like that. And that was in 2004. And actually, personally, I wasn't really involved in it. I just took a plea just because I didn't have no help in how to fight this or whatnot. So I just took a plea and just got convicted of it anyway. So I just did that and all that. So, and after that, I just did my sentence, did the time and everything. And after that, I just stayed out of trouble and was working, but then end up on disability, and life's just been downhill. Right now, I lost my mother, and I just basically don't even do nothing. I was just seeking a pardon just to see if I can get it, see if I, basically, that's basically it, to see if I can get it, because I really don't do anything. I'm just down and out. Just had the support from my family. Don't really do anything right now.
Thank you, Mr. Polium. I want to clarify something you just said. Were you saying that you were not involved in the crime at all and that you just pled out anyway? I'm not sure I understood that.
Yeah, that was correct. I wasn't involved in the crime. And the way they was putting it, I didn't know no solution, didn't have no help. I just had a public defender, and basically they just work for, like, just take a plea and all this and all that. So I just took a plea and ran with it, and that was it.
Okay, other questions for Mr. Polium from the board? Cindy?
Good morning, Mr. Polium. You were ordered to pay $9,000 restitution for the crimes. Did you make any payments at all while you were on supervision?
I didn't have to make that. That was my probation. I didn't have to make that.
Well, of course you had to make it. The judge ordered it. It was court ordered. And in 2012, in fact, it was converted into a civil judgment, correct?
I'm not sure because I didn't have to make it.
Why do you say you didn't have to? I don't understand what you're saying.
My probationary person said I did not have, my probationary officer said I didn't have to make it. The other pardons had to make that. So I didn't make that.
Okay. Well, the court ordered you to make it. Another question I have is, as part of the application process, applicants are encouraged to submit letters of support, and you did not submit any. Can you tell us why not?
Because then nobody know nothing about it. And then plus my mother, she's gone anyway, so she would have did it, but she's gone.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Reverend Hancock.
Mr. Polium, help me understand, because our records showed that you had a prior felony conviction for theft involving a pretty complicated check forging scheme to try and raise $3,000 to help somebody post bail. Can you talk about that?
No, because I don't know nothing about that.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions from the board? No? Okay. Thank you for your time today, Mr. Polium. Appreciate it, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
You too.
Thank you. Our next applicant is Marcus Turner. Mr. Turner, we're ready to hear from you.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, I was convicted of armed robbery with threat of force. My offense date was 1/20/2004. I was sentenced 11/3/2004. Served 42 months of probation. That was 3 years and 6 months. Um, and since then, kind of tried to better my life. And do the right thing, and also be a mentor to teens and uh, young boys in the community. Also coached for the Milwaukee Broncos, the NCSL football league, youth football league. I also cut grass for senior citizens and in the community. And then prior to that, I also ended up getting my training, my Class B CDL driving, and then also my Class A. I have a carpentry certification, welding certification. Prior to me, I guess being on probation. And then trying to seek the pardon, so I can get like a hindrance, kind of off of me. I was young and dumb, and I learned from this. I want to do things as far as take trips and things, and then also, show my daughter, people that do, did bad things in the past, they also can, be they can turn their life around, also currently like taking care of my mother and also my dad, and also had to bury my grandfather, my grandmother, uncle, and things like that. That was my support. So that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Let's see if the board has questions for you.
Okay.
Board members? Cindy?
Good morning, Mr. Turner. Are you currently employed?
Yes, I am.
And what do you do? Can you tell us?
I'm a truck driver. I work for Columbia Pipe and Supply right now.
How long have you worked for them?
I work for them. I just started working for them, and probably I've been working for them like 2 months right now. The past jobs I had were driving jobs. So, and then also too, I didn't mention too, I was trying to, get my own business and things too. And I think that may be hindering me too, kind of. And then also in the past, I was discriminated against, my criminal record too, also, and I felt I was being discriminated against a few times.
Is your current employment full-time?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And is the driving like local, or are you on
It's local. It's local. Yes, it's local right now. Yeah, it's local right now. And then also I was trying to get my hazmat license too also. And I think that may kind of hinder me as far as I guess this violent crime or something like that, maybe. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions? Reverend Hancock.
Mr. Turner, I know you were just 20 years old when all this went down, and you were only convicted of being party to a crime of armed robbery. And in your application, you state that you were just in the car. but why did you keep going with these guys? Because you understood that they were doing armed robberies. So why you went 4 times with them? Why did you keep
I
going?
mean, I don't, like I said, I was, you know, young and dumb, you know, as far as, you know, being young, you know, you know, at the time I didn't know, you know, I mean, I just was with a bad crowd, you know what I'm saying? And
Okay. Look, I just want to dig a little deeper here. You were young and dumb, but you were smart enough to know that armed robbery was a really serious thing, and they put people at risk, and a shot was fired. So you had to understand what was going on. So why did you keep going?
I could, um, I mean, I don't know why, you know, I kept going. It's just, it was just, I guess it was just something to do as far as, you know, I guess it probably would look fun or something like that, you know.
Okay.
I can't, you know,
Okay.
explain that kind of, that was 20 years ago. So it's like,
Thank you.
thank
Any
you.
other questions from the board? All right, thank you very much, Mr. Turner. Appreciate your time this morning and hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have Jody Bower. Ms. Bower. We can see you, we can't hear you. Still no. Try one more time.
Okay, now can you hear me?
Perfect. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Back in 1995, I was stupid, involved with some really questionable people. My boyfriend, another friend, and I found out that a man had a safe in the back of his truck, unsecured, and they came up with the plan to steal it. I drove them to the property, dropped them off, waited, came back and picked them up when they had the safe. They took most of the money. I didn't see much of it. They destroyed papers and sold some old coins, I think. I'm not really 100% sure what happened to everything that was in that safe. We were convicted. I had 6 months in jail and 3 years probation, all of which was served with no problems. Since then, I have not been in any trouble at all. I had my son, which I think saved my life. I currently have a full-time job. I've been at the same company for 8 years, almost 9 years. My son is actually starting school in January for police science. I would like to have my felony removed. Just it's been something that's weighed on my mind for a very long time. I feel like I've paid my debt. I have regretted everything that I did back then, every day since then. I did have 2 jobs that I had applied for and was denied because of the felony. One of actually was the current place that I work at, but it was many years before. I would really like to just not have that stigma of being a felon anymore. I don't know what else I can say.
Thanks, Ms. Bauer. Well, let's open it up to the board and see if folks have follow-up questions. Noble?
Good morning, Ms. Bauer. Have you had any contact with the victim at all in this incident? Any communication back and forth or?
When I was initially convicted, I did have to write a letter of apology, and I did do that. The man that was the victim was actually, in a roundabout way, related to me. He was my uncle's father. My uncle by marriage, his father. He has long since passed away. My uncle and all of his family to this day don't have any problem with me, as far as I know. I mean, nobody's ever said anything to me.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions for Ms. Bauer? Reverend Hancock.
Ms. Bauer, you said in your application, you learned how the choice you made to take the safe hurt the victim and many other people. What did you mean by that?
It affected the victim because he didn't feel safe, I suppose, anymore after taking that safe. And the many other people were his family, my uncle and his brothers and sisters included. I'm sure that they all felt betrayed.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions for Ms. Bauer? Ms. Bauer, you mentioned a couple of reasons that you're seeking a pardon, including the stigma. I wanted to touch on something that you didn't raise, but one of the folks who wrote you a letter of support brought up talking about restoring the right to vote. And I don't know if you know this or not, but it's a question that we get a lot as the board, and that there's quite a bit of misinformation out there about. So in Wisconsin, generally, if you've completed your sentence, including your probation or parole, your time on paper, you are eligible to register and vote in the state. So I just wanted to bring that up in case you or anyone else listening to us on Wisconsin. I needed to know that, but appreciate there are many reasons that you're seeking a pardon, and thank you for sharing those with us today.
Thank you.
With that, you're welcome to sign off the Zoom, and thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You as well. Next up, we have Jeremy Meyer. Mr. Meyer, we're ready to hear from you.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay. All right, I'm seeking a pardon for the crime of burglary, which I was convicted of in 1991. My crime was went into somebody's house with a friend, wasn't really a friend, an acquaintance, and we stole some people's stuff. And it was motivated by wanting alcohol and marijuana. As a kid, I started smoking pot at 14, and I don't know why I was so intrigued in that, but that was the motivation, was just getting high, I guess, and being stupid. I sincerely regret my actions, and I was given 1 year Huber jail, and I did 3/4 of a year and got out on work release. And then I moved around and did different masonry jobs and whatnot. And then in 1997, I broke my knee and went to school for taxidermy. And I did taxidermy full time until 2008, when I moved to Washington. I remarried a year before that, 2007, and got full custody of my 2 children with my first wife, and my wife and I just had a daughter, and then we moved out to Washington, and in Washington, life has just been amazing. I immediately went to school and got a captain's license, so I knew more about saltwater, which was new to me, and it was an absolute playground, and I loved it. I got my 25-ton masters issued by the U.S. Coast Guard, and I started doing chartered bottom fish for 5 years out of Port Angeles. And in between that, I've been doing my taxidermy as well, and I had a general contractor's license, and I did different masonry and all types of home repairs. And for the last 4 years, I've been taking care of my uncle. 3 years, he passed away on September 7th. We're taking care of him. He moved here from Wisconsin. He was on dialysis. He had Parkinson's and all kinds of ailments. And for community involvement, when I moved to Nakusa from 92 to 97, I did a taxidermy bait and tackle shop on Highway 13. And there we had a white-tailed deer farm, and hosted kids on our farm for field trips. And we had the Make-A-Wish Foundation come and had outings every year where kids would fish in our ponds with their families, and just cool kid and fishing stuff. My kids, I've got 4 kids. All 4 of my kids have been involved in a different activities. Civil Air Patrol, my son was in for several years, and then high school sports. All 3 of my daughters have been heavily involved in 4-H since they were of age when they could be in 4-H, and they've had huge successful careers. My oldest, who's 17 now, has been doing that and trap shooting with FFA, and I help out where I can with that. I move bleachers, we weigh in animals. I just show up and help wherever I can be of an asset. And my wife she spearheads that and just tells me where I can come in and be helpful. And here in Washington, we were lucky enough to buy a piece of land 5 years ago, 15 minutes from the furthest northwest piece of ground in North America. It's on the mouth of a river in the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and was a junkyard previously, and we have been doing youth retreats out there and bringing groups of kids out to camp, and the youth group leaders do ministry with them, and we've had the kids help me be a steward to the land, clean it up, and then I take the kids fishing or kayaking, just doing all kinds of activities. These are kids that live in the city, and they aren't exposed to kayaking and rivers and things, and they just gravitate to it so much, and they can just see it, that it just gives them confidence that there's more to do than things in the city. And the reason I want to have this felony removed off my record is it would really help me with maritime jobs. I've been a charter captain. I ran my own charter boat from 2011 to 16. And then I stopped doing the charters and just continued with my taxidermy. But I want to get back into charters. I've recently purchased a new lifetime boat, a 22-foot Hughes craft. And I'm gearing up to start my charter business again in spring. I'm right in Port Angeles, and the Strait of Juan de Fuca is right out front, and 6 miles is the border for Canadian water. So we have to be very careful not to go into Canada. I've been over the line and been asked on radio, who I am, and told I can't even be in the water. I know I can't touch ground, but it is a huge thing for any maritime jobs that you have to be able to access Canada. Fall weather could put you into Canadian water. There's a million reasons, breakdowns, and just part of the job. I'd like to move boats. A friend of mine is a successful boat mover. He moves boats up the strait to the Gulf of Alaska and down to California. And those are yachts. And he has 100-ton masters. I could get on with him. I would love to be doing that and just pick and choosing jobs. I have people call me all the time or quite often to work as a deckhand on their fishing operations. And I'm a very talented fisherman. That's what clicks with my brain, is what the water's doing, where the fish are, all those things. And I would love to be able to pick and choose higher paying jobs.
Thank you, Mr. Meyer. I don't want to cut you off, but I want to make sure that we get to other questions if we have them. Board members, do you have questions for Mr. Meyer? Cindy?
I just have a comment, really, Mr. Meyer. I was just want to say I was very impressed with the letters of support you submitted and the breadth of your community service, which, you know, really demonstrates sort of making amends for the harm you committed previously when you were quite young. So just a comment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It means a lot to me.
Thank you. Questions from other board members? Great. Thank you very much, Mr. Meyer. I appreciate your time this afternoon and hope that you have an excellent rest of your weekend.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Our next applicant is Justin Steinke. Mr. Steinke.
All right, I think I'm here.
Indeed.
All right, awesome. All right, so back in 2010, I was first charged with arson to property other than a building, stemmed from an incident, well, multiple incidents, where I had lit garbage cans on fire, and one of them burned so badly that it caused a lot of damage to the driveway, which was the reason for getting the felony for that one. I was also very lucky that none of those fires ever spread or caused any more damage than what had happened from that. As far as my sentencing, I got a 90-day stayed sentence, and I got put on probation for a couple of years. I paid all my restitution for that, but later that year in 2010, I got the second felony, which was for theft. Took money and a bunch of jewelry from a friend's parents' house during a house party and pawned it, used the money for drugs and stuff like that. As part of my sentence for that one, I got sent to the 90-day living free programming. That was in jail. That was basically for AODA. After that, I was sentenced to drug court, which I completed in the minimum amount of time. It was probably the best thing that could have happened to me was getting sentenced to that. And I believe I actually got released from probation early after I completed drug court, which was good. So since then, I got married almost 10 years ago. We got 6-year-old twins, now just getting into school and growing up quick. And I bought a house 10 or 12 years ago. After I got out of drug court, I enrolled in college of Lake County. I graduated with an associate's degree in CNC programming, also with honors too. After that, I completed 9 years at a job down in Illinois, working at a machine shop. And about a year and a half ago, I switched jobs to get a little closer to home. And so for the past year and a half, I've been working as a tool maker, actually tool maker apprentice, Premier Products of Racine. And things have been going so well that they actually offered me an apprenticeship this past summer. So I started school this fall, and I'll be completing my first semester next week. So that's been really cool and exciting to get that going too, among everything else. Let's see. That's basically all that I've had going since then, and why I think I should receive a pardon. I haven't had any police contact in the past 15 years since all this, the two felonies that I got. haven't had anything go wrong. Everything's been clear. I've stayed employed this entire time, kind of moving my way up through the ranks. And this would kind of just be like the kind of close that chapter of my life. It's been almost half my life ago, and I'm just kind of looking to really put it in the past and just kind of like just show that all my hard work and everything that I've done has kind of allowed me to get something like this. I've also got kids that I want to, at some point, if I need to explain to them, people make mistakes, but you do the right thing. Things end up working out, and it's a pardon like this as possible. And probably lastly, I've been lucky enough to find very decent jobs, but getting this pardon off my record would definitely open up probably some doors to some bigger companies where I could definitely see working at. So I just want to say I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and that's what I got.
Thank you, Mr. Steinke. Noble.
Good morning, Mr. Steinke.
Morning.
Back to the arsons. Have you gone to any counseling? Hello? Have you gone to
Yep.
any counseling or anything like that related to why you decided to set those fires at the time?
Kind of like I said, both those cases, I want to say they both like directly involved drugs, but they very did. And I haven't gone to any counseling per se directly for that, but there's been numerous counseling, or I should say periods of time that I've gone through the years to try and address the drug and alcohol part, but never really the arson part of it. I think that was just a side effect. I don't want to say a side effect, but me acting out in a bad way.
But your thoughts on the fact that these were set in residential neighborhoods and the impact of doing something like that?
Yeah.
Could you talk about that a bit, please?
Definitely. Yeah. Like I never really got a chance to say sorry per se to any of these people, but I wanted to make that point that I was lucky that nothing ever spread. Nothing was ever worse than, just staying in the garbage can. And I'm sure it probably instilled a lot of fear throughout the neighborhood because it went on over a certain amount of time. And yeah, you don't think about that stuff going through that, but no, I'm sure I put a lot of people on edge for quite some time.
Have you set any fires recently? And if so, what is your emotional response to doing so?
I'd say we have a place up north where we have campfires and stuff, but there's no type of response or anything to like, I try and block that part of my life out, per se, but no, there's no like reaction to it or anything like that negatively.
Thank you.
Other questions for Mr. Steinke? All right. Thank you very much for your time today, Mr. Steinke, and hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
All right. Thank you too.
Next up, we have Jose Johnson. Miss Johnson, we're ready to hear from you. Miss Johnson, are you still in the Zoom with us? Thought I saw you previously. Looks like no. Okay. Then we will move on to Tatiana Rose, and Miss Rose, we'll turn it over to you.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, so back in 2006, I
Ma'am?
believe it was.
Ma'am?
Yes.
This
Yes.
is Jose. I was on there, but my phone was messing up, so.
Oh, okay. We'll come right back to you, Miss Johnson. Miss Rose, why don't you go ahead and then we'll just
thank you, sorry.
Okay. Back in 2006, I was convicted of uttering and forgery and theft in a business setting. I added time onto my time cards while working at InSinkErator through a temp company. As a result of that, I lost my job and was unemployed. My boyfriend at the time, his sister, I believe she had copied down somebody's credit card numbers while working at the gas station and offered to pay my phone bill for half of the money. So I allowed her to do that a couple of times. And as a result, I was charged with the felony of misappropriation of ID. So they all went into one sentence, I'm assuming, and I was put on probation for 3 years. During that 3 years, I completed a criminal thinking program. I also enrolled in early childhood education for my associate's degree. I didn't complete that because I had my own children, my son at the time, so I was deterred from childcare. I did go on, however, to complete my associate's degree in human services. I've also since then obtained my bachelor's degree in social work. Over the course of years, while I was interning, I was offered a job as a director of social services at a skilled nursing facility. Over the years, I've kind of been granted those positions through a way of networking, from knowing people from one place to another. So I've been fortunate in that way. Since then, I've learned the value of integrity. So I also know the value of hard work. With that being said, I've been employed in skilled nursing facilities for the past 6 or 7 years. As of August, I recently parted with my employer due to a monetary discrepancy. So I've been unemployed. Since August, I've been offered at least 5 positions with very promising places such as Ascension, the hospital. Also through the Racine County, I've been offered at least 3 positions through them. However, all of them was pending background checks and drug tests. I would pass everything except for the background checks. So that's become a big hindrance now that I'm not in that network and trying to branch out from it. So it's hard for me to get employment. I would like to keep moving forward and show my children that the sky is the limit. But these felony convictions are placing a hindrance on my abilities to do so. I believe that I should be pardoned because that's not something that I would do as of today. That was just a bad judgment call on my part back then, and I really didn't know the value of integrity. I was just trying to get fast money. But since then, I've made a lot of progress. And again, that's not something that I would do.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Questions from the board? Reverend Hancock. Oh, you're on mute still.
Ms. Rose, in the report about your case, other people said they were giving you money to pay their phone bills with the stolen credit card. That's a little different than what you say.
No, unfortunately, that's incorrect. I was giving somebody else money to pay my phone bill. There was even in the court, I even contested to the monetary amount of that I should be responsible for paying back because I wasn't the one who stole the card and I was just being offered that payment. That's incorrect.
Okay, so you're saying that when they said they paid you in exchange for you paying their phone bills, you deny that?
I definitely do, sir.
But you pled guilty to that?
No, I pled guilty to using the card.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Other questions for Ms. Rose? All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Rose. Appreciate your time today, and I hope that you have an enjoyable weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and Ms. Johnson, we are ready to come back to you now. So if you want to turn your camera on, we'll turn it over to you.
Okay. Now I'm here. I'm just Say, and I'm seeking a pardon for my felony. That's about 20 years old. Since committing that crime, I have changed who I am. I decided that what I did was wrong. I realized that just because I was gaining money, I was hurting others. And that's not really something I enjoy doing. I actually take pleasure in helping other people. So it was something I decided was wrong. I came to commence with God that, I was really doing Satan's work and not his. And that's another thing that I don't enjoy doing. Um, I have been in healthcare since I was 16. I've done CNA. I have now graduated with my LPN. I'm having a little bit of difficulty getting my license, which I went through the governor's program for the schooling. So I got 100% schooling and books paid. So I am debt free. I have 5 children. At the time of my crime, I had 2. I did this crime with my second son's. He got party to the crime. I got the crime. I actually worked a job prior to doing this. I was kind of young and dumb, but, kind of just following the next person's lead and, oh, this is cool. I can be honest with you, selling drugs will have an effect of you like you're something special and, you play a good part and, you're somebody to be honored. In all reality, you're not. And you are hurting others. I worked at a nursing home a couple different times. My last caretaking job before starting school, I worked there for 8 years, was at Woodland Senior Park. I did quit there because I felt like I was being taken advantage of. I did start on 3rd shift, went to 2nd shift, and then I did get a supervisor position for the last 5 years of it, from doing a good job. And, it's a family-owned business, so they kind of gave me the benefit of a doubt because I had a connection with a family member working there. So they didn't really pay attention to my record, which I'm thankful for because they did give me a chance to do what I love to do. Right now, I'm kind of wanting to start my own business. I'm debating if I want to do like a foster home for boys or my own elderly, but something to give back to the community. I feel like I deserve a pardon because I have learned my lesson. I haven't gotten any more trouble. And it has been a hindrance to me. There have been many of jobs that I have went for that I know I would be great at, but because of my record, I was turned down, which I feel like that's something that shouldn't be allowed because I think people should be given the benefit of a doubt, whether they have a record or not. At least give them a chance, because there's a lot of good people with records. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of bad people without records. And I think that's kind of unfair. You never know who's crooked in the upper government. I mean, I'm starting to question a lot of what is going on with funds and, the things you go through. And I don't know, but I just feel like I have a great heart and I've learned my lesson and I deserve a pardon.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Questions from the board? Reverend Hancock. Oh, you're muted again.
I'm just too nice. 2 questions. The district attorney in Winnebago County who reviewed your application supports it. Now, the governor will make the final decision, but how does that support make you feel?
It makes me feel good. It actually does, because I've been in Winnebago County since 13. I'm still here. So that there shows that I am a good person. They see a change. If they support it, that means that makes me feel good. I wish the district attorney could send employers, hey, give her a chance.
And the other thing is that if you get a pardon, would that make you sort of immediately eligible to become an RN? Is this the only thing that stands in your way?
Well, no, I have my, I went to schooling. I passed my NCLEX. I got my degree from the tech. I don't know if I'm going to go on to RN because all the writing part of that, I'm not sure if I want to do that. But I did complete everything for the LPN. I'm just going back and forth with the licensee with my record, which I finally got everything clear. Now I'm going back and forth with them regarding my son took my car 2-3 years ago. He flee and eluded, so I got an owner's liability for it. It was just a fine. It's not a criminal offense. It says it on CCAP here. There is it opened? Is it closed? I'm thinking, I mean, this is public information. You guys should have this information. So I graduated in May, and here it is December, and I'm still waiting for my license, going back and forth with these guys. So I don't know.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Ms. Johnson? All right. Thanks so much, Ms. Johnson. Appreciate your time this morning and hope you have an enjoyable weekend.
You too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, I want to do one last call for Wilshon Freeman. Mr. Freeman? No, all right. That concludes our morning applicants today. We will be back this afternoon starting at 1 o'clock to hear from another group of applicants. But at this time, the board is going to move into closed session. So I will entertain a motion to move into closed session under Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 1 sub A, D, and F for purposes of deliberations concerning specific cases before the board, for considering specific applications and considering financial, medical, social, and or personal histories of specific persons. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Noble, all in favor, aye. All opposed? Great, the motion carries. And I will ask board members to just give us a moment to stop the live stream before we pick back up. All right, I believe we have everybody in from the waiting room and our live stream is up and running. So we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Mel Barnes. I am Chief Legal Counsel to Governor Tony Evers and the chair of his Pardon Advisory Board. Welcome everyone. I'm going to introduce my fellow board members, go through a couple of housekeeping items about how the meeting will run, and then we'll get started hearing from all of you. So with us in the Zoom today, we have my fellow board members, including Anthony Cooper Sr., who is the Vice President of Strategic Partnerships and Reentry Services for Nehemiah Center for Urban Leadership Development. He is also the CEO of Focused Interruption, and he received a pardon from Governor Evers in January of 2021. We have Reverend Jerry Hancock, who is the director of the Prison Ministry Project. He previously served as a public defender, a deputy district attorney, and as an administrator for the Department of Justice's Division of Law Enforcement Services. We have board member Noble Ray, who served with the Madison Police Department for nearly 28 years, including as chief of police from 2004 to 2013. He led the U.S. Justice Department's Policing Practices and Accountability Initiative and currently provides racial bias training for law enforcement agencies around the nation and the world. We have board member Myrna Warrington, who is the Director of Vocational Rehabilitation Services on the Menominee Indian Reservation. She is a U.S. Army vet and has been a member of the Menominee Tribal Legislature for over 15 years. We have board member Cindy O'Donnell, who served as the Deputy Secretary of the Department of Corrections under Governors Thompson, McCallum, and Doyle. She also served as a Division Administrator under Attorneys General Lautenschlager and Van Hollen. And joining us, or will be joining us very shortly, we have board member Reverend John McVicker Sr., who is the founding pastor of Christ the King Baptist Church in Milwaukee, and he additionally serves as the board chairman for King's Academy Christian School and as an associate chaplain for the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department. So today's hearing is being live streamed on YouTube and Wisconsin Eye. For that reason, we'll ask you to mute yourself and turn your camera off until it is your turn to be heard by the board so that the board can focus on the person who is presenting. If you do run into any IT issues with the Zoom, don't worry about it. Someone from staff will give you a call, reach out and get it sorted out. If we need to come back to you because Zoom's not cooperating when it's your turn, we will certainly do that. Otherwise, we'll call folks up in the order listed on the agenda and open meetings notice, and each applicant will have about 5 minutes with the board. So we'll ask you to spend the first 3 of those 5 minutes speaking to the questions that we sent you in advance. As a reminder, those are to 1, provide us with a brief summary of the offense you're seeking a pardon for and how your sentence went. We're not here to retry the crime. You don't need to minimize your involvement or anything like that. We just want to hear from you in your own words what happened. 2, a brief summary of what you've done since the completion of your sentence, including community involvement and employment, how your life is different now compared to the time that you committed the offense. And then finally, a brief statement about why you're seeking a pardon and why you think the governor should grant you one. Once you've spent about 3 minutes speaking to those things, we'll open it up to other questions from the board. The board may or may not have additional questions for you. We do review all of your written application materials in a lot of detail. So sometimes that covers everything. But if there are questions that the board wants answered before they make a recommendation to the governor, it's really important that we get to those so that folks can make an informed recommendation. Once the board is done with any additional questions, you're welcome to sign off and leave the Zoom hearing. Once everyone has been heard for the afternoon session, the board will meet in closed session to decide whether or not to recommend your application to the governor. You need a majority support of board members present in order for your application to be forwarded on to the governor, who will then make a final decision about whether to grant or reject that application. Either way, you'll hear from our office in about a month to a month and a half from today's hearing. I know that everyone has been patient just to get to the hearing today, so we'll ask you for just a little bit more time so that we can make those considered recommendations and get applications to the governor's desk. So with that, we will go ahead and get started with this afternoon's applicants. First up, we have Antoine Hogans. Mr. Hogans, we're ready to hear from you. It looks like you're unmuted.
Hey, how you doing?
Great, how are you?
Hello?
We're able to hear you, Mr. Hogans. Can you hear
Hello,
us?
how you doing? Okay. Thank you for having me today. My name is Antoine Hogans.
Mr. Hogans, your internet, I think, is cutting in and out. We're having a real hard time hearing you.
Hello.
That's a little bit better.
Hello. Yes.
Okay, you're frozen.
Hello.
But it sounds like we can hear you a little bit better.
Hello.
It's just real choppy, Mr. Hogan. So I'll tell you what.
Can you hear me?
Oh, okay, that sounds a little bit better now. You want to try one more time?
Hello.
Okay, I'll tell you what, Mr. Hogans, we're gonna try calling you in by phone so that we can get your video and your audio without the choppiness. Stand by, someone's gonna give you a call right now. And in the meantime, we'll just move on to our next applicant and come right back to you. So let's go ahead and start with Frederica Moffett then, who I believe I saw in the Zoom as well.
Yes.
Ms. Moffett?
Yes, I'm here. I'm just trying to, there's a red line through the video that's not cutting on. Start my video. Hello?
We can hear you. We can't yet see you.
Because let's see, co-host has asked you to start your video. And when I hit start video, it like freezes. 1 second. It's spinning. Yeah, and it just keeps going away. I mean, I don't have any internet issues. It's coming up again.
We can hear you all right. So if you're comfortable proceeding just with audio, we're happy to do that.
Sure. Once I want to say thank you to Governor Evers and to the board for allowing me this opportunity to speak in my pursuit of a pardon. On September 16th, 1997, I was convicted of forgery, uttering pretty much writing worthless checks using my sister's identity. My sister provided me with her identification, so this wasn't something I had taken without her permission. However, the sole purpose of it was for me to maintain housing and to assist me in that way. Times got hard. I ended up using checks that she had provided as far as her permission, knowing that there was no money in the account. So that's what makes it the worthless checks. It was solely for survival. I was single parent, 2 children. At that time, under the age of 3, I had very limited income, not a huge, family support system. Even right now, I just have one other relative in the state. I actually from Chicago, and then my kids currently reside in Texas and Arizona at the moment. So I had no issues with while doing my monitoring. There was never any aorta issues, counselors concerns. Even now, that's never been an issue. I did restitution, everything was taken care of. I know I do recall needing additional time. I don't know if it was for the management fees or for restitution. I think it was like extended about 3 months or so. So I'm just guessing at that, but I know additional time was needed. During that time, I've had my CNA certification. I worked over 15 years in the W-2 FSET program, various agencies that's subcontracted by the Department of Children and Families. I've, had my kind of made notes, medical billing and coding certification. Also, I needed to maintain certification to be a financial employment planner under the W-2 program. That also led to yearly state trainings and certification that I had to obtain. I'm currently, with my current employer, February will make 8 years that I've been with that company. Let's see. What am I leaving out? I have 2 children, ages, my son will be 30 at the end of the month. I have a daughter's 28. They both served in the military. My son did 5.5 years and was medically retired. And my daughter served 6 years in the Air Force. And her service ended in March of this year. Let's see, so they both, my daughter has a bachelor's and associates, and my son has his associates and is currently attending school for his bachelor's. I purchased my home that I'm currently residing in 2007. Haven't had any issues, any run-ins, or any type of criminal activities. There's never been any repeated type of behavior that was strictly based upon, I didn't have, the resources or the assistance that I needed. And since then, it's been up for me. I've been very successful, I would like to say, in terms of with my family, my career, or whatnot. The purpose of this part would be, one, this is something that happened when I was 19. So that's been, I believe, I've do the math correct, over 26 years ago. I've maintained full-time, meaningful employment. Like I said, I haven't committed any other crimes. I've never even gotten a speeding ticket. Since that, I see this pardon as an official act of forgiveness from the governor and the community. It also eliminates some of the consequences that comes along with the conviction as far as my employment. I currently work now for an insurance company, and depending on, we work with Medicaid and Medicare contracts, depending on the state and different contracts that comes up, I will now have to be put through regular background checks or whatnot. As of right now, my employment is okay, but that varies based upon the particular market that I'm working, but it also hinders me from any type of advancement, moving up when you're dealing with an insurance company, what comes along with that. But I would also like to get my license in insurance, so therefore I can be more employable. I've completed numerous acts of kindness. I've participated in different back to school, the Martin Luther King back to school fair, where with my children, we Thanksgiving, we fed the homeless. But also right now, what I do is, this is ongoing, I prepare hygiene packs that I carry in my car, and I hand out year round to individuals that appear that may be in need of it. Also with my employer, we're also given time to volunteer and participate in our community. So I take part in that as well.
Thank you, Ms. Masett. See if any of our board members have other questions for you. Yes, Reverend Hancock.
Ms. Masett, in reading your application, your life got off to a really bad start. As I read the application, you were 17 years old with a 3-month-old son when your mother threw you out of the house. And that's where you started. But where you are now, you have an amazing work record, and you have 2 kids that are doing really well. So what was the most important thing that helped you turn your life around?
I would say not wanting to become my environment, not wanting to become my upbringing. I come from a very toxic, unhealthy upbringing, and just wanting to provide my kids with something different. If they was able to see me do something different, which I think I've proven based upon who they turned out to be and their services, where they're giving back to the country, not just to their community. And I think that how they turned out speaks to who I am as a person. And I think out of everything that I accomplished, that would be the most rewarding, I would say.
So your kids were your real motivation for
Absolutely
turning your life around. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Cindy.
Yeah, good afternoon, Ms. Moffitt. As part of the application process, applicants are encouraged to submit letters of support for their application for pardon, and you chose not to submit any letters. Can you tell us why not?
Actually, it wasn't that I chose not to submit the application. I actually submitted it after the fact. I was really pretty much a time crunch in terms of my current employer being bought out by another company, and I wanted to get my application in, and it's like you're at the mercy of other people in terms of getting the documentation that you needed timely. And I did rush in reference to say, I need to get this taken care of right away, and I'm study waiting for people. I did get 3 of the letters that I end up sending. I want to say it was a little bit about 30 to 45 days after the fact. So it was not submitted with the application, but it was mailed after the fact.
Okay, you did submit 3 letters of support after the fact?
It was mailed in. This was, I want to say it took about, I remember the post stamp was March 31st. And I want to say end of April, early May.
Okay, well, we'll check that out. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
No problem.
Any other questions from the board? All right. Thanks very much, Ms. Moffitt. Appreciate your time with us this morning and hope that you have an enjoyable weekend.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I think we've got Mr. Hogan's audio figured out now. I see we've got him by video and phone. So Mr. Hogans, we'll turn it back to you and see if we've got better luck with technology this time.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Great. So we can hear you very clearly now. That's awesome. We don't have your video anymore. Can you try turning that back on for us?
Yeah. It's saying disabled on the video monitor.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, oh, there you are. Perfect.
Okay.
Now we can see you. Go ahead.
Okay. How are you doing? And thank you for having me. I had filled out an application about, I think 3 years ago, and I had paid a lady to fill out the paperwork, and it had got denied. So a lot of my letters that I got from the community and stuff like that was in that packet. And I think that when I got the letter from the post office, because my grandmother had died and all my mail used to go to her house, and I don't know what happened to most of that stuff, but I ended up waiting 18 months and filling it out again, and I filled it out myself. I went down to the safety building and I got everything notarized, and I just sat there and filled it out. And what I'm here for today is I had, it was 1991. I was party to a crime robbery. I was riding with my best friend, Titus Pitts, and it was a subway on 76th and Flores. And we ended up going in there and we were going in there to rob the place, and I was riding with him, and I take full responsibility for my actions. But when we got there, I asked him not to do it, and he ended up doing it anyway. And we ended up getting 14 bucks. And I hired Dennis Coffey for my attorney, and he's a long life friend. And I ended up getting 6 years probation. And Judge Surfin my mother was a maid for Judge Surfin, and he ended up going to court with me. And I ended up getting 1 year in Huber Law at the House of Correction. And I just take full responsibility for my actions. But that was 1991, and I was young and grew up with a single parent mother. And I truly believe that I was a product of my environment, because I mean, I was basically a follower and trying to be cool with the people that I was hanging out and being around. So after that, I was on probation for 6 years, and I guess in 1996, I had got a possession of firearm charge, and one was a misdemeanor, one was no process. I was helping out my auntie move. Her and her husband had got divorced, and she was a gun collector, so she ended up having a pistol in the car, but I wasn't supposed to be around any pistols or any guns or anything like that. So when Dennis Coffey ended up going to court, I guess it was knowledge with no possession, because I was in the car, but I didn't know that she possessed or even had a firearm in the car, because she was moving her entire house in the U-Haul truck. So I take full responsibility for everything that I've done. Since then, I really haven't been in a lot of different things. I've gave my life to God. In 2021, the mayor, Tom Barrett, gave me a proclamation in the city of Milwaukee. So my birthday is in a couple days, December 18th. So I officially have my own day in the city of Milwaukee. I opened a recording studio in a candy store on 28th and Burleigh called You Said It Records and Pitbull Studios. I'm doing also now screen printing and embroidery for some of the biggest companies in the city. I'm a super fan for the Milwaukee Bucks, so I'm with Peter Fagan and Mark Lasky and all those guys. And also I own a shop now called Hookahs by Tweezy, 6050 West Fond du Lac. We've been doing food giveaways, food drives. I've been working with Healthy Milwaukee to do the vote. We've been doing free haircuts, book bag giveaways. And I truly believe that I learned my lesson from my mistakes, and I want to be a part of the solution and not the problem. And I just want to help the homeless, the elderly, and the children. And they asked me the other day to speak at Washington High School, and I want to speak in the jails to tell the people, that, if I could do it, they could do it. And it's like, I feel like I deserve to get a pardon, because I have 3 children, Juan, Sasha, and Juan is he just got his license flying airplanes. And my daughter Sasha, she just graduated, and I got a son in Atlanta also. And I just kind of, going through all this stuff. My mother died, my grandmother died, my uncles died. And it's like, I just want to make everybody proud of me. I made a lot of mistakes, and I just take full responsibility. But it's just like, I just want to do the right thing,
Thank you, Mr. Hogans. Questions from the board? Cindy.
Good afternoon, Mr. Hogans. After these 2 offenses that you're seeking the pardons for, one was, as you know, 1991, you were 18, as you said. The other was 96, you were 23. But then you have a lot of misdemeanors after that. Retail theft, disorderly conduct, resisting, fleeing, reckless driving, all the way up until like 2016. And in your application, we ask you to explain that. And what you wrote was wrong place at the time. you know, in order for me to support your Pardons Day, I need to hear more than that.
Okay, well, basically,
what does that mean, and what were you doing, and how did you stop at 26? After 2016, it doesn't look like there's anything. So what changed?
well, when I was locked up in the Huber Law, I had met a guy that was in jail, and I never forget. I was working for 15 cents an hour, and my phone calls were 10 cents a minute. And the guy, I was about to leave. He never talked to anybody, and he pulled me to the side and he said, "Antoine," he said, "I heard that you're about to get out." He said, I don't have a second chance. And he told me to do the right thing. And it's just like when I got out of jail, I had met a guy named Six from All Stars, and I had went to Chicago. I used my girlfriend's car, and I started selling socks and T-shirts and hats and stuff like that. And 3 months later, I ended up owning my own business, You Said It Records and Pitball Studios. So I've been successful once I've gotten out of jail, and I finally realized that the life of crime is not a friend of mine. If you're not a part of the solution, then you're going to be the problem. There's no right way to do wrong. So I just started going to church. I started hanging around positive people. And it's just like, I just didn't want to do it anymore. I got tired of lying to my mother. She passed away while I was in jail. You know, my grandmother bailed me out of jail. She passed away. So it's just like, I feel like I let my family down. It's just like, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, I just want to do the right thing and just try to help people. You know, I help the homeless. I don't take pictures of them when I do it. It's like, I've been successful, and I'm in a position now where I'm around my cousin. Corey Nettles is a big time attorney. He's a part owner of the Milwaukee Bucks. And it's like, I'm tired of letting my friends and family down by them looking out for me and being in their family. And I don't want to be a failure. I want to be someone that's going to be honest, honest person. I want to live with integrity. I want to live with respect. And I don't want people to hate to see me when they come. I want them to be happy to see me,
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Other questions from the board? None? All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Hogans. I think that covers it then, and appreciate your time this afternoon.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right. Next up, we have Kimberly Miller.
Can you hear me?
Ken, looks like your camera is not working either, but if you're okay proceeding with just audio, we can do that.
Let me see if I can make my camera work. No, maybe not. I'll try it. So, hi, thank you for having me. Could everyone hear me okay?
Can hear you perfectly, yep.
Okay, my name is Kimberly Miller. My offense is called theft, false misrepresentation, party to a crime. My mom owned a daycare for a number of years, I don't know, probably 10 years altogether. And I worked as the administrator and the director. She was closed down for claiming kids that did not always attend. And because I was the administrator and did not share that with anyone, I became a part of the offense. And that's why it's party to a crime. I was sentenced because I pled guilty, and I received 3 years of probation. While I was on probation, I had a PO, a probation officer, and I asked her, is there something I can do in the community to volunteer and help out? So at that time, she gave me a list of agencies. I chose Wisconsin Community Services. I went there and I sat in a class voluntarily, and I helped out with some of the people there that were court ordered there. I helped out with resumes and things like that, helping with employment. So eventually, within a year, I was hired on. They had just started a staffing agency. I was hired on with a program there, one of their staffing agencies. So I became a permanent employee, and eventually I moved around within Wisconsin Community Service with no gaps. I've always worked, and I've always worked in some types of social services. Never had a record, never had a speeding ticket, but just so happened, excuse me, I was working with my mom, and I did not report what was going on there. She had an attorney and was never charged. I did not have an attorney. Well, I started out with an attorney and I couldn't afford it. And I ended up being charged with theft, false misrepresentation. From WCS, I worked with guys coming out of prison, helping them to obtain employment. I helped them with resumes, and I connected with, we had a job developer there. We worked very close together, and our success rate with employment was like 90-something%. So I worked with WCS for 8 years. And I kind of moved around. My last job there was a facilitator where we went around. The program was called Community Building, and we went around the city and we did three-day workshops, and I became a facilitator. After that, I decided I really enjoy what I'm doing. I wanted to work with women. So I started at the Benedict Center right away. I'm back at the Benedict Center. Right now, I presently work with women in prison, some of them in the reentry program. I'm at work right now. I go to, it used to be the House of Correction, but it's the CRC. I go there once or twice a week and I teach classes. My class is the employment class. When the ladies come out of prison, it teaches them how to get a job, and not only how to get a job, but I have a curriculum called Making It Work. It teaches them how to keep a job. I have various positions throughout the city. I've never stopped working. Been working since I was 14 years old. Just so happened to be in that daycare working, and was the administrative director. So I had to claim, I had to own up. Yeah, I knew what was going on and I did not report it. So right now, the reason I feel like I deserve this chance is because I've always worked with helping people. I've always worked with trying to do what I can in the community, whether if it was paid or unpaid. What was really nice at WCS, Wisconsin Community Services, as I went there as a volunteer when I was on probation, I went and sat in a class, and I eventually became the teacher of that class, which allowed me to move around at WCS and kind of grow. So I really love what I'm doing. What comes up all the time is this one crime on my record here at the Benedict Center. I just came back here, and it was like a flag, and they denied me at the House of Correction, which is now the CRC. My executive director, she appealed it, and I was able to come back. So I've been working all of my life. I really enjoy what I'm doing. I work in a social justice program for women, and that's what I want to continue to do. Sometimes it gets kind of hard, on certain grants. I kind of get denied quite often, but because my proven work record, I've had a really great support team that kind of helps me. And so here I am with you guys trying to make sure that I can continue to do what I do and hopefully grow. Sometimes it's hard fighting through the tears and trying to keep moving on. So if I get this pardon, hopefully I don't have to fight so hard to grow in my position.
Thank you, Ms. Miller.
You're welcome.
Questions from the board? Reverend Hancock.
Ms. Miller, you were doing more than just helping out your mom at the daycare, right? I mean, you were actually filling in the hours that people weren't there, right?
No, that part, my mom owned the daycare, and those sheets that came out, she had to fill those out. She made sure no one filled those out, and it had to have her signature. My actual responsibility was more so overseeing the staff and making sure the stuff was done in the daycare. The reason I pled guilty, I was so afraid of what was going on. I never had been to court or anything like that, so it scared me. Back in the day, those sheets, they came in yellow pieces of paper, and you had to fill out the hours. My mom had to look over the hours and fill them out. That's the only thing that she actually would do. She would come in to make sure that the payroll and everything was right. So I was a signer on that account, where if she wrote a check or whatever, I was a signer. I had my own bank account, and it was proven during that time. So I did not fill out the actual pay sheets. The owner had to fill that out, and it had to be her signature.
But you were aware that the hours were
Yes.
inaccurate.
Yes, yes, I was very much aware, and that's why I am I'm here because I was a party to a crime. I was aware and I never said anything to anybody.
Yeah, well, how do you feel about what you and your mother were doing?
I mean, I felt terrible, and if she was here, actually, I told her several times that I didn't feel comfortable with that, and it honestly was one person that was my cousin who had 7 kids, who was signing her kids in. Probably she was actually signing them in on attendance. She's in that report. Her name is Nina Johnson. It was just that one individual. Of course, I felt terrible, and I still, feel bad. That's stealing money. I had never stolen anything in my whole life, and I got paid a regular check regardless of what she did. I got my every 2 weeks, so I definitely didn't like what was going on. Even today, when I think back, it really bothers me.
How do you feel about how what you were doing affected, the public support for this kind of program?
Well, at that time, I guess it was I don't know, like 15 years ago. I definitely feel like, I mean, if you're taking money out of people, these people that are hungry and have, kids to feed, I never liked what happened. And that's why as soon as I was charged, I went to my probation officer and wanted to give back to the community.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions from the board? Ms. Miller, just one from me, which is about your restitution. I see that you were ordered to pay a really significant amount. I'm wondering if you tell me if that's been paid or if you're making payments on it or how that's going.
So to be honest, my mom was paying that because she knew that she's the one that actually had wrote the kids in. So I don't think she's paid it in a while, but she was paying it every month. No, I haven't paid it. She was paying it because it was her responsibility. I just happened to be working there. Like I said, I pled guilty because I just didn't want to go through that court. It was really intimidating and scary for me, so I just wanted to get it over with.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Any other questions from the board? All right, thanks very much for your time this afternoon, Ms. Miller. Appreciate it and hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have Artie Tucker. Mr. Tucker, we're ready to hear from you. Okay, I don't see Mr. Tucker in the Zoom unless he has one of our iPhones called in. Mr. Tucker? Okay, we will come back to Mr. Tucker. LaDon Robbins. We can't hear you yet, but it looks like you're trying to unmute, Mr. Robbins. We still can't hear you. We're gonna try prompting you. We'll see if we can get a pop-up for you. Okay, let's try one more time. We might need to come back to you otherwise. Can you give me a thumbs up if you're seeing the pop-up? You are? Okay, can you try clicking on it? Because we still can't hear you. Okay, it doesn't look like it's working, so I'll tell you what, we'll have somebody give you a call and try to troubleshoot it. It is Friday the 13th, so I feel like we're having an adequate number of tech issues here. So we will come back to you, Mr. Robbins, as soon as we get that sorted out. So somebody will give you a call, okay? In the meantime, Jessica Lambert. Miss Lambert, I believe I saw you in the Zoom.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
All right. Hi, my name is Jessica Lambert. My maiden name was Louisi. First, I want to thank you all for your time and this opportunity. On April 20th, 2006, I was arrested for possession with intent to deliver cocaine. I was sentenced to 1 year in county jail and 6 years of probation. While serving that sentence, I had Huber release. On November 6, 2006, I made the decision not to go back to jail. A few days and 3 suicide attempts later, I was returned to custody by a family member and charged with a second felony of escape. My prior sentence for possession was revoked and I was sent to prison. I served approximately 18 months at Tachita Correctional and was released early for good behavior. After my release, I continued to struggle with addiction. I was on extended supervision and my PO gave me multiple opportunities, jail holds, outpatient treatment programs, and even an inpatient treatment program at Robert Ellsworth Correctional. My addiction just continued to get worse and I became a full-blown heroin addict. The last time I was in jail on a PO hold, I was charged with multiple counts of identity theft for financial gain. My PO revoked me. I fought the revocation, and my public defender found a Christian-based women's program, and we offered that as a alternative to the revocation, and extended my supervision for 1 more year. The judge agreed, and I went into the program. While there, I finished out the court proceedings for the charges against me, and I pleaded no contest to 2 counts of misappropriated ID info to obtain money and received, I believe it was 2 more felonies. I served the remainder of my extended supervision without incident. Since completing my sentence, I am sober. I have turned every area of my life around. I completed the program at Destiny Point. I've restored relationships with my children and my family. I removed all the toxic relationships in my life, and I moved to Stevens Point with my kids, who are now adults. I've maintained a job with the same company for the past 10 years, which I do accounts payable for our corporate office in Stevens Point. And I am also the manager of our Wausau location. The company is now an ESOP, so I'm also an owner within the company. I own my own home and vehicle. Last year, I got married, and I have my first grandchild coming in March. I have been both intentional and consistent in my efforts to give back to the community and those who may be struggling in the areas that I did. I currently attend church on a regular basis, tithe, volunteer, attend small groups. I help lead a Bible study on Monday nights at the local Salvation Army. And for several years, I have served on the board of a local nonprofit called Transact Hope. I've also helped with many other ministries and programs throughout the years. 2 things I'm extremely proud of and hope to do again is that I was able to go back into the jail where I did most of my jail time and share Jesus and my testimony with the men and women there. And for a short time, I was part of a prison ministry and got to go back into the prison system and minister to the men there. As I stated in my application, I'm not ashamed of my past. It's made me who I am. And I share my mistakes openly and honestly with those who need it whenever I get the chance. I do regret that I hurt so many people through my actions as an addict, my children, my family, Miss Johnson. But I can't change any of it. There's no redo button in life. All I can do is take responsibility for everything and live the remainder of my life in a way that shows that I'm sorry and committed to changing and being a productive, upstanding citizen. There are many things I still want to do. I want to travel with my husband, but there are places we can't go because of my felonies. I want to be able to provide a service for my company, but I can't because of the felonies. And I'm committed to being more involved in church, but I can assume there's going to be obstacles sometimes because of my felonies. I believe I should be considered for a pardon because I know I've changed. Everybody in my life knows I've changed, and I now live my life intentionally and with integrity. And I'm committed to helping others do the same. That's all I got.
Thank you, Ms. Lambert. Questions from the board? Reverend Hancock.
Ms. Lambert, I have two questions. When you escaped and were on the run, what happened to your child?
My daughter was with her grandparents, and my son was with my parents.
Okay. And how are your kids doing now? How are those kids doing now?
My son still lives with me. My daughter lives in Wausau, and she actually works for me.
Oh, okay.
So, yep. And then she's the one with the baby on the way.
Oh, well. And can you tell us briefly about your relationship with Transact Hope? Because you started there, you were in the program.
Correct.
And now you're secretary of the board. So,
yep. Yeah, I was in the program for 4 years. And it helped me to get stable. It allowed me to learn how to become a parent again. And after the fact, a couple of the members of the board I have relationships with outside of just Transact Hope asked me to be on the board. So I did. And yeah, the rest is history.
And you received a Habitat for Humanity house, correct? Good.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Ms. Lambert? All right. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon, Ms. Lambert. Appreciate it and hope that you enjoy your weekend. I think we've gotten some tech issues sorted out with Mr. Tucker. Mr. Tucker, if you can hear us, we are ready to hear from you.
Hello?
Hello?
Mr.
Hello?
Tucker?
Yes.
All right, we're ready to hear from you.
How you guys doing?
Great.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Tucker, would you like me to repeat the questions we're asking you to answer? I'm not sure if you caught us in the beginning.
I didn't catch you guys in the beginning.
Okay, great. Go ahead then.
No, I said I didn't catch the question.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. Well, now I'm having trouble hearing. Okay, so we're going to ask you to spend about 3 minutes answering the questions that we sent you in advance of today's hearing. So speaking to the crime that you're seeking a pardon for, your involvement in it. We just want to hear in your own words. You don't need to minimize anything. Second, how your sentence went and what you've done since then, community involvement, employment, how your life is different than at the time of your offense. And then just finally, a brief statement about why you're seeking a pardon and why you think the governor should grant you one. So once you spend about 3 minutes on that, we'll open it up to any other questions that the board might have.
Okay. Well, I wrote it down, what I want to read to you guys.
Perfect. You can go ahead and read. Lots of people do that.
Okay, I'll say good evening, and I would like to thank you for accepting my application and hearing what I have to say. I'm Artie Tucker Sr. I am a husband, a father of 2 boys, a son, a brother of many, an uncle of many, and a friend of few. On April 25th, 2003, I was
in possession of a firearm, which I knew I wasn't supposed to have. I didn't resist, and once the sheriff pulled me over, I did accept. I did ASAP. I was a 22-year-old young man, a young food-minded male. I was employed at Kraft Foods, just being with the in crowd. I never smoked weed. I am an occupational drinker. I'm an occasional drinker, so I let peer pressure push me into having a gun. Once I received my time in Hubert work release, I did 30 days with 22 days of good time. And once I was released, I made myself a promise never to go back. Plus, later that year, I found out I was a father. So I didn't want my son knowing or seeing that side. So I really kept my promise to myself and did just that. So April 25th, 2003, when I first got pulled over for no license and gun until my sentence, May 10th of 2004, I haven't had any illegal police contact, not even a speeding ticket. I've lost so many so-called friends because of this change, and that's okay. So fast forward to, I'm sorry, guys.
That's okay. Take your time, Mr. Tucker.
So fast forward to October of 2004, I received my high school diploma. 2010, I've gotten married. 2015, God's blessed me and my wife with a second son, Artie Jr. So I'm a senior right now. So now I'm senior. So 2016, I attended WCTC for the fall semester of truck driver. And I received my diploma. I was all in and I graduated December 23rd, 2016 with a Class A. And my son witnessed me walk across the stage along with my wife and my mother. That was a very, very proud moment in my life because my kids got to witness me walk across the stage, and it was an accomplishment that I can glad I can say that was rewarding until this day. So currently I'm a truck driver. It's a very, very challenging job, but it's very rewarding. I protect my license. I no longer do or hang with the in crowd that I was back in the day when I was younger. I'm a lot older now. I'll be 45 next week. I feel like I just want to get like a second chance. I want to do things. By me being a truck driver, I meet drivers, they come over from Canada, and the question is always brought up of this and that, and I always tuck my tail or hold my head down in shame because of the felony, because I know I can't go to Canada with that fella. Or like the guys that I work with, they go hunting. That's something that I would like to do. Just I don't eat deer, but I just like for the experience. And also, I want to get a pardon for my license because we was in the house marketing last year, and the gentleman who was he was a realtor, but he was showing us different houses, and he was showing me the ropes, but I said I think I could do this, but he said he asked me what was holding me back, and I told him without getting into details that I had a felon that I couldn't. I had some things I had to clear up, but it kind of hindered me. But I haven't letting it stop me from at least trying or want to do what I want to do. Definitely, I accomplished my goal of 20 plus years of not being incarcerated. My sons haven't witnessed me going to jail. My wife, my mother. I've been an example for my peers, like for my brothers and my nieces and nephews. Definitely them. And just a lot of people that I touch. If you talk to me, you would know that I had a felon by the way I carry myself. But again, it's like an elephant in the room. So that's why I seek the pardon. I was on the list a long time ago when Scott Walker was in office, and he got rid of it indefinitely, and it kind of hurt me. But I tried again once I heard about it again. So I never give up. I always kept a positive outlook on everything I take in life from this day forward. Yeah, and that's why I'm in front of you guys right now as we speak.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Appreciate all that. Board members, any questions for Mr. Tucker? No. All right. I think that covered it all then. Thanks so much, Mr. Tucker. Appreciate your time this afternoon. And since I don't think you heard me say this in the beginning, the board will decide in closed session whether or not to forward your application to the governor, and you'll get an answer about a month and a half after today's hearing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Okay, and I think that we have Mr. Robbins back with his Zoom, hopefully working flawlessly this time. So Mr. Robbins, if you can hear from us, we are ready to hear from you. Okay, maybe I spoke too soon because now I don't see Mr. Robbins in the Zoom. In that case, we'll keep working on it. All right, we will go on to our next applicant then, which is Jennifer Stegall. Ms. Stegall?
Yep, I'm here. Hold on.
Perfect. All right, we'll turn it over to you.
Hi, thank you guys so much for meeting with me today. I'm Jennifer Stegall. I'm 26 years old. My felony happened when I was 18 years old. I was with a then boyfriend at the time who I thought was my true love, of course. Who doesn't when they're that young? I threw away 4 cigarettes in a garbage can at a county jail in Appleton, Wisconsin. So everybody was bringing in packs of cigarettes, and my boyfriend at the time asked me if I would bring in cigarettes also. I thought it was a stupid idea. I told him that repeatedly. So I decided to take 5 cigarettes and I broke them and put them in the container that they wanted to put in, which was like a candy wrapper. And I threw them away in the visiting room. And then in the visiting room, they had a trustee that would bring them into jail. So technically, I never went into the jail. I just threw them in the garbage can. So I've had this felony now over my head since I was 18 years old. I did go in when they called me and asked me about it, and I never lied. I told them exactly what I did. My attorney that we hired was not very good. He was kind of going after a different situation, so I got stuck with this. I'm not trying to make an excuse for it. I did do it. It wasn't a very smart thing. Since then, I've worked at countless businesses. I have associate's degree in business. I had my own business. I started in 2010. I had a bar restaurant, and I ran that successfully for 13 years. I just sold it a year ago, just so I could move on with my life and try to get retirement and 401k started. Let's see. I'm looking for a pardon just so I want to get into real estate. I'm a real estate right now, so this is what I'm trying to do. I don't know what else to say.
I think that covers a lot of it. Let's see if anybody has any follow-up questions for you.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Cindy.
Yep. Good afternoon, Ms. Stegall. I'm sorry, I might have missed this. Are you currently employed?
Yes, I am. I work at McKinley Paper. I work at a paper mill.
What do you do there?
I work in stock prep. So I make all the pulp and the refiners work pretty much, make sure they're running.
And
That's
it's
what I do.
Full-time work?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is full-time.
Maybe more than full-time, right?
Correct.
As part of the process, the application process, people are encouraged, it's not required, but people are strongly encouraged to submit letters of support for their pardon application. And you did not submit any letters of support. Can you tell us why?
Oh, I thought I had 6 sent in with it. I have them all here.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll check that out with the board staff then. Thank you for
Okay. Otherwise, I can forward them again. Yeah, I thought I
Someone
had
will
everything in
reach
the
out to you
packet.
okay, I appreciate it.
Yes.
I'm glad I asked and I'm
Yes.
glad you clarified that.
Yes, definitely. And if
Thank
you
you.
need more, just let me know. I got plenty of people. I do a lot of stuff, so.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Other questions? Reverend Hancock, did you have one? Sorry, you come off mute. No, okay. Maybe Cindy covered it. All right, thanks very much, Ms. Stiegel. I think that covers it. So I appreciate it this afternoon.
Okay, thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Okay, we are gonna try again with Mr. Robbins, who I think we have in the waiting room. So if everyone can just bear with us a second while we get him in here and hopefully unmuted and working. Okay, well, staff says we have lost him again. So it's been an adventure, but we will move on to Monique Williams. In the meantime, Ms. Williams, we're ready to hear from you.
Hello.
Hello. Ms. Williams, it looks like you're muted again.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can't see you. Are you able to turn on your camera? Oh, there we go.
Hello.
Right. Hello.
Monique Williams. My sentence was using an ID or something inappropriately. Back some years ago, was a gambler, did something I had no business doing. Had a card, had a PIN number, was supporting friends or whatnot. Used the money that wasn't mine. You know what I'm saying? And thought I could put it back before a friend got from being incarcerated, and ended up not putting it back in time. Had some words with the friend. We were okay. She told me she was going to take it to court, and I said, "Or fine," because I did do it. You know what I'm saying? Never said I didn't do it. So I was okay with that. Charges was filed, and this is where I'm at. And 10 years later, 8 years later, we're still friends, the best of friends, no hard feelings. I finished the sentence, they gave me some kind of probation. Never knew what probation was because I've never been in trouble. So I did I set out to do what they asked me to do. They gave me drug and alcohol, never been on drugs, never drunk, never had drinks. So went to that. They talked that counseling. I did counseling, spoke with them. You know, she got deep with me as far as me losing a parent. 2006, losing a grandparent. 2009, lost a brother. 2015. So she was like, "Monique, you know what I'm saying? What you did was a mistake. It happened." And the more that I saw her, she assured me that I shouldn't be there. So I was released from the probation early because they never had any problems out of me, never tested positive for nothing. And, you know, been working for the community all my life. Been working since I was 14. Started off fast food, end up nursing home, from there schools and aid. Went to college, got a bachelor's, went from aid to teaching. Started teaching 2013, 14. Started a master's degree, only a couple classes away from graduating with a master's. I just didn't finish. I couldn't afford it. Raised 3 adoptive kids, foster parent 3. I still have one here. She's 12. Been had her since she was 4 months. So that's just me. I've always been helping the community. Go to the daycare daily, help out with the daycare kids. You know, voluntarily, not getting paid, just doing what Monique do, just always helping others. And the one time I did do something stupid and never knew about a felony, never knew it would get this serious, where I didn't, like I said, I don't really know till now. I know because I did my research. I thought I couldn't vote. I didn't vote for years because I thought I had a felony. I couldn't vote. but come to find out I could with the felony. You know, I didn't know that. So it just was a lesson learned, and haven't been in no trouble since. Still got licensed to teach, haven't taught because I was injured, had back surgery, and I just been off work ever since. And that's me in a nutshell.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
Mhm.
I want to see if the board has any questions for you. I've got one to get us started, which is I noticed that you were sentenced to pay restitution. I'm guessing the money that you took, it looks like you did pay that all off.
I paid everything in full.
Okay. Other questions from the board? Cindy.
Good afternoon, Ms. Williams.
Afternoon.
You've heard me ask a previous applicant, but I'm going to ask you, which is, you did not submit any letters of support. Can you
And
tell
I
us?
can't be nothing but real to why I didn't support it. But
There you
one, I
go.
think it's because I did a lot of running around to get all that paperwork that I needed to get this started. This was like my third attempt. The first two, it got denied. This is like my third, and this was my third attempt. And I was like, I felt like it was on a time frame, and I didn't want to have time wasted waiting for people to get the letters back to me and all this and that. When I wanted to do the application, I want to send everything at once. And I kind of felt like you can see from my history of working, I've been working 20 plus years for Milwaukee Public Schools, from aide to teacher. Not only that, the second job was working with adolescent kids. I worked at St. Charles for 10 years. Only quit that because I had to resign because I was taking care of my grandmother after my mother passed, and nobody but me had to do it. So that's why I left St. Charles. And I just felt like my history should be enough. You know, this is the only one bad thing that I had done. And it's not no working 2 years, 5 years. I've been working 20 plus years, you know what I'm saying, for one company. And I just felt like, oh, I didn't want the delay. I just wanted to get the paperwork out.
Okay, thank you.
Reverend Hancock.
Ms. Williams, the judge in Milwaukee County who reviewed your application supports your application for a pardon. Now, Governor Evers will make the final decision, but how does that support from Milwaukee County make you feel?
Wonderful, because I didn't know I had that support. It makes me feel awesome. It makes me feel awesome. I'm not a bad person. It didn't take counseling to tell me that. I know who I am. I'm always taking care of people and doing for others. And hearing that from you, it just makes me feel good, actually.
Thank you.
Other questions for Ms. Williams? None? All right. Thanks very much for your time this afternoon, Ms. Williams. Appreciate you being with us, and
Thank you.
for your weekend.
All right, you too. Thank you.
All
Let's
right.
get out of here.
And I believe that we've got Mr. Robbins back. So Mr. Robbins, if you can hear us, we are ready to hear from you.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
Glad we got it sorted out. We're eager to hear from you.
Yeah, appreciate it. How you guys doing today?
Great, thank you.
Okay. LaDon Robbins, 54 years old. My crime was committed back in, I think, 92, 93. First crime, it was operating vehicle without owner consent, which was a motorcycle. I took it, somebody's bike. I took off on it, actually. Didn't give it back because I wanted a bike, too lazy to work. Second offense also was the same thing. The first time I was given probation for the first one. The second one they gave me for doing the same thing, operating a vehicle without owner consent, a motorcycle. They gave me 1 year. I ended up doing 90 days for that. The other offense I had was possession of a controlled substance with the intent to deliver, and also a felon in the possession of a firearm. I did, for that one, I did I was sentenced to 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. I can't so long ago, and I ended up doing a year for that. I got out. My love was football. Going back, I played football at UW Stout college football. I got out, of course, started doing those things, got around the wrong people, watching the guys in the neighborhood, ride motorcycles. I was infatuated with them, wanted money, didn't want to work, basically looking for the quick dollar, looking for the quick buck. So I got out, wanted to pursue my dream in football, which I did. I got out and I went to play semi-pro football with the Lake County Vikings, which is in Illinois, Lake County, Illinois. I also did some, helped out with Pastor Kevin at Joshua's Promising Ministry, helping to kind of mentor some of the young men. After that last stint, when I went, I got out in '96. It was kind of bad for me. I kind of learned my lesson after that, and I reflected on everything that was going on in my life. And I had a thing where my grandmother raised me, and it was just her. And I kind of let the guys in the neighborhood kind of be like father figures and show me all the wrong things to do. But other than that, I learned my lesson. I helped out with some of the young men, kind of mentor them, kind of, talking to them, letting them know, everything you see in the neighborhood is not what it's cracked up to be. I did that. I eventually got myself together. I opened up a barbershop in Milwaukee back in 2005, End Zone Barbershop, which is still currently open and employing barbers. We give away certain things there when I come to town. I no longer live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'm currently living in Houston, Texas. I've been here since 2011. I've gotten here. I've also did well for myself. I started a trucking company here, End Zone Transport. I currently have a couple trucks now that I'm employing people with. The barbershop in Milwaukee is still also open, because I didn't want to take those guys' jobs away from them. I've done numerous things here. I've had job offerings. The reason I need a part, or I want a pardon, or I would like to be pardoned, I've had opportunity here to become a football coach at numerous high schools. I was turned down once in Milwaukee to be a football coach. That's my passion. I really want to do that because I want to reach some of these young men, these young boys, and help them become men and show them, that there's other things in life you can do out here without looking for the fast buck. And that's a passion of mine. And it's just something that I want to do because I wish that's what I had. And I think that's my calling. I know that's my calling. I know that's what the Lord got for me to do. And that's what I really want to do. So.
Thank you, Mr. Robbins.
Yeah.
I'm just going to see if any of our board members have any follow-up questions for you. Does anyone have questions for Mr. Robbins? Reverend Hancock.
Mr. Robbins, the District Attorney's Office in Washington County reviewed your application for a pardon, and they support that application. Now, Governor Evers will make the final decision, but how does the DA's office support? How does that make you feel?
Oh, that makes me feel wonderful. That makes me feel that people don't hold grudges like everybody say they do. Especially for somebody like myself that's, I straightened my life out. I'm successful here. I'm doing excellent. It makes me feel awesome. That's awesome.
Good. And I just have one other comment. We've gotten lots of letters of support over the years, but I think this is the first time we may have gotten a letter of support from your middle school teacher who still knows you. That was pretty impressive. Mr. Beeman.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yes, Mr. Beeman. Awesome guy. Awesome.
Thank you.
We stay in we stay in contact, and he I talk to him sometime. I reach out to him. He's a great mentor. He's an awesome person. And I reach out to him. I reach out to a lot of older guys that, you know, that help me out with certain things, and it's been working for me. My life is good.
Thank you, Mr. Robbins. Any other questions from the board? No. All right. I think that sums it up then. Thank you very much for your time this afternoon and for navigating our tech issues. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Okay, you guys too. Enjoy yourself. Be blessed.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I believe that concludes the applicants for our afternoon session. Anyone else that we have missed? I know we went out of order here. No. All right. So then at this time, I will entertain a motion to move into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19.85 sub 1 sub A, D, and F for
We're
purposes
sorry, your conference is ending now. Please hang up.
Okay, sorry, we've got some background noise, but for purposes of deliberations concerning specific cases before the board, for considering specific applications and financial, medical, social, and or personal histories of specific persons. Do I have a motion? Anthony, Cindy with a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. All right, and board members, just give us a moment to get folks to the waiting room and make sure that the live stream has stopped.